Okay. Okay, everybody, today marks the start of our second course where we'll be exploring more of the details of the non-UCC, operating as a Article 4 banker, and what it means to be a bounty hunter and a private attorney general. Additionally, we will continue to cover the crucial topics of the performance and the payment bonds, essential knowledge for anyone looking to navigate the monetary system as an individual banker. It's important to note that while I'm your guide in this course, I am not the originator of this information. The insights we will explore have been brought to light by many great gurus, but one particularly is Patrick Devine. His tireless research and dedication led him to uncover a remedy for freeing oneself from the monetary system. After 9 years and over 5,560 documents, Patrick Devine discovered the key to liberation in the year 2016. Then he disappeared and said, "Now it's up to you to set yourselves free." This live 4-day course will cover the final process of Patrick Devine's great works, as well as information from others who helped him along his way. Let's begin. Okay, guys, we have a lot to cover, especially from the last course that we went ahead and dove into. I'm going to go ahead and share our screen, my screen, and we're going to just kind of take our, let's see, where's she? Oh, it's this button. Here we go. We're going to continue from where we spoke about with the UCC, the non-UCC, and where it is that we get the legal language and the law from for why our non-UCCs work as the secured party over our debtor entity. Okay, so we're just going to dive right into this. Specifically where Patrick went ahead and found the laws for the non-UCC, it's found in the UCC 9, which is addressing the constitutional amended and statutory republic non-UCC choice of laws. The republic jurisdiction for this nation as being the superior laws of the United States of America. Okay, so let's start off with the first section. Let's see. Our deposit accounts. Now, a deposit account, according to the Uniform Commercial Code, defines a deposit account as a bank account that is a demand, time, savings, passbook, or a similar account. The term does not include accounts that are represented by other instruments. So what we're going to do is we're going to read closely into this, because this is where you're going to get your authority from over these accounts. Now, under the new subsection B, Part 1, the only method of perfecting a security interest in a deposit account as a original collateral is by control. What type of control? The control of your individual banker's EIN in your private bank over your surety debtor strawman. Filing is ineffective except as provided in Section 9.315 with respect to proceeds. As exampled in Section 9.104, control can arise from the result of an agreement among the secured party, the debtor, and the bank. Okay? When you guys look over Patrick's documentation and you see the word bank in all caps, or anything really in all caps, as we're going to see through these sections, he's referring to the for-profit organizations. Okay? But guys, this is the first thing that you should read and take out of this whole entire paragraph. Control arises from the agreement between the secured party, the debtor, and the bank, whereby the bank agrees to comply with the instructions of the secured party with the respect to the disposition of the funds on deposit, even though the debtor retains rights to direct disposition of the funds. Thus, subsection B, part 1, takes intermediate position between certain non-UCC laws, which conditions the effectiveness of the security interest on the secured party's enjoyment of such dominion and control over the deposit account that the debtor is unable to dispose of the funds. And the approach this article takes to security accounts under which a secured party who is unable to reach the collateral without resorting to judicial process may perfect by filing. By conditioning perfection on control, this is your non-UCC 1, rather than requiring the secured party to enjoy absolute dominion to the exclusion of the debtor, subsection permits perfection in a wide variety of transactions, including those in which the secured party actually relies on the deposit account in extended credit and maintains some meaningful dominion, but does not wish to deprive the debtor of access to the funds altogether. The debtor has the ones that has all the access. I discussed this in the first class. You're broke as a joke. You go to your bank account today, you have $1.50, like me, like I do. But our debtor has all the money, all the funds. The secured party, our private bank, is what we're on for our non-UCC 1, is what has gaining access over the account that has all the money. And that's exactly what we want to do. Now, let's go on to the liabilities of the bank. This article does not determine whether a bank, all caps, that pays out funds from the encumbered deposit is liable to the holder of the security interest. Although the fact that the secured party has control over the deposit accounts in the manner by which control was achieved may be relevant to the imposition of liability. Whatever rule applies generally when a bank pays out funds in which a third party has an interest would determine liability to the secured party. Often this rule is found in the non-UCC adverse claim statute. What are we making a claim from? Can anybody tell me what the secured party is claiming?
Your account?
Your debtor. It's you're claiming your account at your absolute debtor.
What did you say bank meant? I missed that.
Bank means the all caps for-profit corporate private banking system set up by the Federal Reserve. See, the banks like Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Umpqua, and all the other ones, they're just charters of the larger bank, which is the Federal Reserve Foreign Bank. So when we say bank, it really means Wells Fargo or anything that's attached to the Federal Reserve banking system. That's why you can go to any bank, and if you went ahead and did like a bill of credit over to your bank account, which we'll talk about here in a little bit later, then you give them a private individual banker's endorsement. They can, by their branch manager, can actually process that as a payment. And the reason why it can process it as a payment is because they're all connected to the same Federal Reserve Bank. All right, continuing on. This article does not provide a specific answer to the question of which state law applies to the restriction on assignment in example. However, assuming that under non-UCC choice of law, I swear, if there's anything I want you guys to drill into your mind, it's non-UCC choice of law. I'm gonna give an example here in just a moment. Principles of effectiveness of the restrictions would be governed by the law of state Y, which governs the franchise agreement. The fact that state X's Article 9 governs the secured transaction between the secured party and the debtor would not override otherwise applicable law governing the agreement. Of course, to the extent that jurisdictions eventually adopt identical versions of this article and courts interpret it consistently, the inability to identify the applicable law in circumstances such as those in the example may be inconsequential. What type of law do we want to be under? Anybody know what type of law we want to be under with our non-UCCs?
Common law?
Common.
Trust law.
No, no, and no. You want to be under the laws of the Republic.
Republic.
The
Oh.
Republic laws. This is the Republic jurisdiction. Being under the Republic jurisdiction means that you are foreign to the private corporate banks. Okay? Now let's talk about remedies. Okay, really think about this one because we're going to get into the remedies for your banking transactions, your certificates of titles, and so on and so forth. Former section 9-501 provided that the secured party's remedies were cumulative, but it did not explicitly provide whether the remedies could be exercised simultaneously. Subsections permit the simultaneous exercise of remedies if the secured party acts in good faith. Guys, we're doing constantly simultaneous transactions. I myself already have 5 or 6 documents already out to do settlements and debt set-offs and all of that. And it's up to the secured party's discretion in good faith on how many transactions we can operate at one time. The liability scheme of subpart 2 affords redress. Redress is basically saying I want to go back on the agreement because I was not properly informed. I felt like I was pressured into signing this, you know, like our mortgage, especially your mortgage or your certificate of title. You want the house? You want to live behind the white picket fence? Well, you better sign this agreement because there's no other way to do it. So affords redress to an aggregated debtor or obligor. The person who signed that document is the debtor, who is also known as your obligor. Moreover, permitting the simultaneous exercise of remedies under subsection C does not override any non-UCC law, including the law of tort and statutes regulating collection of debts. Okay. Did you guys understand it? Does not override any non-UCC law. Make sense to you?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll just move on from that. And then simultaneously exercise the remedies in particular case constitutes abuse, behavior, or harassment giving rise to liability. This is why you can do a redress. As particular cases constitutes abuse, abusive behavior, harassing, or giving rise to liability. Okay. Quite a few things there. We're going to talk about this a little bit more in just a moment. I'm going to give you an example. This, again, is the secured party of cumulative remedies. You can do as many remedies as you want simultaneously, and it does not override your non-UCC control over your debtor. And you have the ability to redress. Okay, now let's go over to multiple secured parties. Every single time you deal with a bank, when you deal with your car title, when you deal with your driver's license, when you deal with the court, or you even deal with Big Mama Michelle, there's going to be multiple securities in your way. This subsection is going to describe to you who's the superior. More than one secured party may be entitled to take possession of collateral under this section. Conflicting rights to possession among secured parties are resolved by the priority rules of this article, not the sub-priority, the priority rules of this article. Thus, the senior secured party is entitled to possession against the junior. Okay, if you're going up against Bank of America, who's gonna throw it in your face that they can put a lien on your house if you don't pay your mortgage because you're instructing them to get the payment for the mortgage out of the performance and the payment bond. They are the junior in that situation. The senior secured party is the one who's the claimant on the non-UCC, the one that you mailed to yourself. Oh, you know what? Before I continue, I just remembered something. The information that you're hearing is for entertainment purposes only and not meant for legal advice. Okay, thought I'd say that.
Got you.
Gotcha, okay. Non-UCC law governs whether a junior secured party in possession of collateral is liable to the senior in conversion. Normally, a junior who refuses to relinquish possession of collateral upon demand of a secured party having the superior possessory right to the collateral would be liable in conversion. They don't want to go against you guys. They will give up right away as soon as that you show that you're the secured party over the debtor instrument, which you have every ability to redress the document that you signed under distress and be able to take your superior role and then give instructions for the modification of the contract that you're put under redress to sign. And that modification is the direction for the performance and the payment bond to fulfill the payment or the debt remaining on your mortgage title. Does that make sense?
Interesting.
Yeah, it's putting it together. Okay, title clearing systems under other law. Applicable non-UCC law, certificate of title statute, federal registry rules, or the like, may provide a means by which the secured party may obtain or transfer record of legal title for the purpose of disposition of the property under this article. The mechanism provided by this section is in addition to any title clearing provisions under law, any title clearing provisions other than this article. All right, let's go into the last section, which is the scope, and then we will go into the choice of law here. The scope. The basic damage remedy under Section 9-625B is subject to the special rules in this section for transactions other than consumer transactions. This section addresses situations in which the amount of deficiency or surplus is an issue, i.e., situations in which the secured party has collected, enforced, disposed of, or accepted the collateral. Now, your banker's acceptance of the collateral. It contains special rules applicable to the determination of the amount of deficiency or surplus. Because this section affects a person's liability for deficiency, it is subject to the to Section 9-628, which should be read in conjunction with Section 9-605. The rules in this section apply only to the non-compliant in connection with the collection, enforcement, disposition, or acceptance. Collection, enforcement, disposition, or acceptance. Under Part 6. For other types of non-compliance with Part 6, the general liability rule of subsection 9-625B, recovery of actual damages, applies. Consider, for example, a repossession that does not comply with Section 9-609 for want of a default. The debtor remedy is under this section, Section 9-625B. In a proper case, the secured party may be liable for the conversion under non-UCC law. If the secured party thereafter disposed of the collateral, however, it would violate Section 9-610 at this time, and this section would apply. Other problems arise from the transactions and relationships that were entered into under former Article 9 or under non-UCC law, in which remain outstanding on the effective date of this article. The difficulties arise primarily because this article expands the scope of former Article 9 to cover additional types of collateral and transactions, and because it provides new methods of perfection for some types of collateral. Different priority rules, the different choice of law rules governing perfection and priority. This section and other sections in this part address primarily this section set of problems. Okay, that was a lot to take in. And I know it. When you're kind of listening to this information, even though I have little tidbits along the way, it's hard to sometimes see the whole picture. I'm going to give you the whole picture right now. Okay? The first thing that we're going to look at is we're going to go back to the non-UCC. Okay? We're going to look at this financing statement once again. If you went through my first class, you should be familiar with this document already. But let's go ahead and look at it a little bit closer. Scroll to the bottom. When you see in the non-UCC choice of laws, this is the section that they're talking about. Optional file reference data. You can put anything that you want in there that you want your non-UC choice of law to be governed under. So if you put in the reference, a file reference data, make me a slave, you're a slave. Make me, put me in prison. I'm trying to drive this point home. Feed
Big Mama Michelle.
Big Mama Michelle. Hey, you are governed under whatever you put in this section. Okay. I hope that was clear enough. So then when you're at this form and you got your organization's name and you put the debtor and the secured party as your private individual banker, this is your governing document, is governed by the articles that you put under here. Now, going back to the other document, the UCC document. Let me go back. Going back to the other UCC document, we'll scroll all the way down. This was Patrick's breakdown. You're taking control procedure using the Republic choice of laws. Registered mail, private non-UCC of your foreign contract trusts. Registered mail, transfer of deeds of your foreign contract trusts with their supporting general accounting forms. This is a process transferred by deed that we're going to cover later in greater detail. It really is the culmination of Patrick's final process. But you'll use the same documentation as you would for your transfer by deed, as the same documents you would use for the utility company, for the bank, for your car title, for your driver's license, for your certificate of marriage. You'll use your SF-30 to modify the contract to be used by the owner's control of the contract. The SF-1414, which is the consent of the surety, owner's control over the surety. The surety is the debtor. The SF-1416, which is the payment bond, other than construction contracts, okay? Other than construction contracts. The Republic Credit Asset Reservoir Depository as the collateral foundation for the performance bonds. And then finally, the performance bond board, the SF-1418, for other than construction contracts, was to be used to pay all of your bills and taxes. And the reason why is here's where the fraud is. The for-profit private governments under the Federal Reserve foreign banking system are taking your assets to insure and fund with your credit the performance bonds and putting it out on the open market for investors to invest in, and whatever they make as a profit, they then put in their private banking pocket, and they don't file taxes on it. Guys, that is RICO and racketeering at its finest. That is where the fraud is, or one of the frauds is through the performance bond. Okay, payment bond stays the same. Okay, it's a depository reservoir account. Okay, here's your non-UCC choice of laws. You can use all of these, and I even use more. So in that little subsection we looked over earlier, you could put the Constitution of the United States, Article 4. We're going to cover Article 4 today. You're going to put the verse volume of the statutes at large. You can put the 15th volume of statutes at large, the 13th, 14th Amendment, HJR 192, which allows for the transfer of republic credits to the foreign bankrupt UCC contractors using foreign commercial bondage contract trusts. And you could also put the Baby Act. I put the Baby Act and the Miller Act in mine, and a couple others just to really be thorough. And yeah, you can add that. Okay. Any questions on this section, the non-UCC law?
Yes.
Raise your hand, and then I will take those questions. And let me, well, now, there we go. Oswald Foster, let's start with you.
How you doing?
Doing well.
I've been trying to find the Baby Act. What is it called? Something else? Because I've been trying to Google it. I have not been able to find it.
You would search on Google?
Yeah, I searched.
All right, go in the Patrick Devine title files. It's definitely in there, and type in Baby Act in the top section. Do you have access to all the files or just the 37 through 42?
37 to 42 at this time.
All right, go ahead and check out my email. You'll be able to send payment to Venmo at Creditor Academy, and I'll get you all the whole entire files, and you'll be able to pull up all of that and all of the documents that Patrick Devine has done from the beginning of like 2008 to the very end. You'll have also the audios of all of those documents as well.
All right, thank you.
No problem. All right, let's go to Katie Battle.
Kate.
Kate Battle, sorry, excuse me.
It's okay. My question stems from the last class where you said that we needed to do our EINs, but
Yes.
according to the foreign trust, we have to have a foreign address. So how do we rectify that?
Yeah, just do 1800 Big Mama Michelle Avenue in Taiwan, and just do it there. You could choose any address that you want.
So you could just make up one?
No, no, just look up whatever street address is over there, and that's how you go ahead and remedy that.
But wouldn't they send stuff to that address?
No, they don't send anything to address. It's foreign. They send it to your mailing address because they ask, what's your foreign address as a foreign entity, and what is your mailing address? When you're talking to them over the phone, they'll commonly ask, hey, I know that you're foreign, but do you have a mailing address here in the United States? And you're like, yes, that's 1500, whatever avenue. And that's going to be your actual location. And then they will mail your 98 series number to the mailing address, not the foreign address.
So then even with that, because I'm getting into this is kind of new to me.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to find out if, because I've seen a lot of people doing stuff like this on the internet, and they always say, well, you have to take control of your birth certificate and you got to get it.
Well, I don't know what other people are saying. I'm not here to combat what other people are doing. And also to make this clear from the very get-go, I'm presenting Patrick Devine's information as it is presented to the public. I'm not here to interpret or compare it to anybody else's processes. I would watch the first video and I would look at the examples that are provided there. And I'll take more specific questions about the FGT, the individual banker's EIN, and all of that at the end of this class. But for right now, who has questions about the non-UCC? Okay, Jake, what about you? Okay, next one. Let's go over DW Consultants.
Hey, it's Jenna. Sorry, I'm just using my work email. Thanks so much for the presentation. Saw the first class yesterday, loved it.
Awesome.
I just have a housekeeping request. Actually, I was going to ask if Kate or anyone else is unmuted, if they will mute while you're talking, because I want to review the clean recording.
Yes, please mute your audios if you're not contributing. If you raise your hand, I'll call on you. I can see my whole entire reader board and we'll go from there. Any questions on the non-UCC? Okay, and all right, so let's move on to the next section. All right, let's put all the non-UCC together. Patrick was super great to put this together. Let me go ahead and go back to my presentation. Okay, that was a lot of stuff. Let's go into now the public-private partnerships. Okay, this is how we're going to do the public-private partnerships as government public-private UCCs. Okay, this is where Patrick breaks it down a little bit further and puts it in more in layman's terms. Okay, these partnerships are nothing new, for they have operated under many different names. They are nothing but a private owner creditor individual giving a consenting collateral contract, UCC, to the public-private governing powers of which these governments receive an unjust, major beneficial monetary and controlling advantage. These partnerships have long been recorded to be used by nations and empires all the way back to the Egyptian Empire in the Bible and before. All right, in red, initially in America, these public-private governmental PPPs, which is public-private partnerships under the UCC, were set up between the constitutional republic, public national government, and the private bankers, with the bankers having an unjust majority beneficial monetary and controlling advantage. But in America, there was a need for more assets, so we're set up using the collateral trust certificates per the 1933 Securities Act, in conjunction with hidden Chapter 73 and 573 usages of the Shipping Act of 1916 and the Miller Act of 1935, plus the many other deceptive public-private codes of law and their private 1938 governmental courts. Okay? Public-private partnerships are deceptive, complex, and long-term contracts between two units, one of which is normally a private for-profit enterprise. Let me ask you, who's the private for-profit enterprise?
The government.
Yes, it's the Federal Reserve bankers, okay? And the other normally is government unit, private-public partnerships, normally involved a collection of expensive fixed assets being acquired by a private unit, which is then operates and manages the assets to produce and deliver services either to the public unit or the general public on behalf of the public unit. All right, so here's the synopsis of that paragraph. They are using all of your government, private-public partnerships issued as for-profit securities per the 1933 Securities Act as collateral trust certificates which contain a payment bond and a performance bond for profit. Guys, this is the fraud. You can't make money off of someone else's money without their permission, mainly for the benefit of the private corporate governments and bankers. The GSA forms required to be used in conjunction with the IRS forms are the SF-30, 1414, 1415, 1416, 1418. We'll go more into the SF-1415 as we've been kind of covering the others, but these are your banking forms. All right. And you're going to see this 100 times. These are your remedy forms. At the end of the contract, the public unit often acquires legal ownership of the fixed assets, sometimes without payment or for a payment that clearly is less than the market value. The fixed assets are often referred to as infrastructure assets because many of the large projects undertaken by means of the private-public partnerships involve the provision of services to the public that government is normally expected to provide, such as transportation, communication, health, and educational services. Here's the subsection. All the private-public partnership UCC state, all caps, securities were to have their contracts ending on the 25th birthday anniversary of the Article 4 public American citizen per the constitutional law. That's where the Shipping Act comes in. When a vessel reaches maturity by the age of 25, it no longer has to be governmentally controlled by in commerce by its parent for-profit private bankers corporation. And at the age of 25, you need to reclaim your assets for your own commercial use as an Article 4 public American citizen, or also known as a Article 4 public individual banker. That's why it's important. You need your individual banker's EIN. It is so important. This was the crux to Patrick Devine's whole teaching on what he was trying to look for to get his remedy. He needed his individual banker's EIN. Now, last section. It is also possible for a public corporation to occupy the role of either unit, and for a private nonprofit. Who's the private nonprofit institution? That's our private bank. To occupy the role of government unit. The private nonprofit institution is your individual banker's EIN per SS4 request using your private nonprofit trust and estate enterprise. This means that when you exercise your Article 4 and 10th Amendment and 1868 Expatriation Act, I also put this in my non-UCC at the bottom, governmental powers, you can order the government employees to transfer the liquidated for-profit UCC government collateral trust certificate security, all caps, assets per your non-UCC claim. Avoidance to be deposited into your private nonprofit institution under your nonprofit EIN number account. All of the for-profit, all caps state government UCC security bonds are to be totally liquidated. Concealment of these for-profit UCC securities is a punishable crime. This is RICO. This is RICO. This is what you're reporting them to on. If you can identify the fraud and look at the whole story of what's going on with the system, then you'll know how to operate and not only get your claims in, but also be able to get your just securities into your private bank account. From all of my American constitutional government understandings, in America, only an Article 4 public citizen can be a public and private international enterprise creditor and owner of the American Treasury, and their own private laborers per their nonprofit and exempt individual bankers EIN. As the individual referred to in Article 1, 2, and 3 are all public employees, and they are classified as government public debtor servants to the American Article 4 people. Who are the Article 1, 2, and 3 public employees? Can anybody tell me who those are?
Say it again.
Who are the Article 1, 2, and 3 public employees?
Judges.
Specifically. Who's number one?
The government, right?
Yeah.
Bankers.
Guys, it's the executive, judicial, and what's the last one?
Congress?
Legislature.
Legislative branch. There you go. That's the public employees. They are your servants. You're coming in under Article 4. As coming in as Article 4, you have a superior claim over your security interests, over your public debtor servant. And that is why being an Article 4 person is so powerful. Now, there's another Article 4 because you're operating as a nonprofit Article 4 public banker. There's another fourth branch of government that you're going up against, and we covered this in the first course. It's the for-profit corporate Federal Reserve banking system. That's the fourth branch of government. The nonprofit against the for-profit. And you have the owner of the debtor servant under the non-UCC have total and absolute dominion over that account. And that's why if they have concealment for their profit of the UCC securities, you can report them under racketeering of a punishable crime. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Gotcha. Try to make it as simple as possible. I get it. All right. Then he has a little graph here. Here's the financial corporations, the banks, and the insurance companies. Then you have your public Article 4 citizen owners. Okay. So this is public article. Yeah. This just kind of gives you a snapshot. So the figure is where we presently are and where we want to be. Where do we want to be? We want to be a nonprofit institution serving the household sector. How do you become a nonprofit institution? What's the answer, guys? How do you become a nonprofit institution?
It's your EIN.
Get your EIN. It's your EIN. Absolutely. Private U.S. Treasury assets held under a non-UCC, nonprofit bank, private bank account per your individual banker's EIN. You need your non-UCC. Okay, this is how you get into your private Article 4 status. Okay. All right. Well, that was fun. Any questions on that section? Deep end. Let's start with you.
Yeah, the surety or the person would be the Article 4 person, correct?
That's your debtor.
And then, so you as a living man want to be the Article 4?
Yes and no. the reason you are in control, see, the whole game of this, or really the game that they played on you that you're just kind of doing in reverse, is that they made a fiction and they put that fiction and attached it to you. Now you are going to make your own fiction that you control and put it over their fiction that they control. Remember when you created your estate EIN? What did it ask you? It asked you for the decedent's social security number, right? It's the dead person. That estate is what houses the dead entity, okay? So you're using your fake entity, and this is where people get in trouble, right? They go to court, they do this, they file paperwork or whatever, and they put the living person as the representative. Whoever is being represented carries all of the liability. You don't want any liability. You want to step back. You want to say like, hey, I own everything but control nothing. Or I control everything and own nothing. There we go. So you have your entity that you created have dominion as the secured party over your debtor. So then you can create separation, and that's what your Article 4 individual banker is. And it uses your living name as that. Okay, any other questions before I go on to the next section?
You don't have to use your living name to the bank, right? You could name your bank whatever you want, but you would title it. Okay, so you title it in your name, but then you could give it a trade name of whatever you'd like, correct?
You can, yeah, you can name it Elmo's World if you want to, but I mean, who's the individual banker and who's the one in control of it? That's what's important.
Right.
And also with all of
Private
your
banker.
paperwork transactions and you're going out there, you want to present it as you because you're the authorized representative. You start making up names and all of that, and people are like, who is this? What's the relationship and all that? That's why Patrick makes it clear from his FGT to his estate to his private bank. They're all under one entity. That's why they share the same name. But yes, you're right. You can change it to whatever name that you would like. All right, Patrick.
Yeah. And so correct me if I'm wrong. You are basically, as the living man, you're pre-constitutional. You're unalienable, Declaration of Independence, but you're creating this bank to kind of operate in their realm of governance, and you're kind of making your rules as the living man.
Yeah,
Thing.
absolutely. Don't put the living man in front of nobody. Give yourself that breathing room. Have the private bank be and the individual banker be in front, because under that status and everything, where you're housing everything, that's what's being protected, because under your non-UCC, you're claiming the laws that the private bank is operating under, which is the Article 4, the HJR 192, and so on and so forth. So that's by your individual banker's not only identity as the status over the debtor, but also by which the laws, the non-UCC laws that you're following. All right. Next, colloquia.
Yeah, colloquia.
Colloquia. Okay, that's your question.
Hold on.
Wow, a lot of reverb.
You good?
Let's see. Okay, I cannot hear you. Mark.
Yeah, hey,
mute.
thank you. You may have covered this earlier. I came in kind of late,
No
but
problem.
I'm just looking at my sheet, and then my non-UCC number is going to be the registered mail number. Is that, we just got to keep that current? I mean, is that going to be the number we use whenever we use our non-UCC? I just kind of trying to catch up here.
So you're asking, is the registered mail number the the number by which you're referencing your non-UCC security?
Right.
Yes.
That's it. So
That's the number. Absolutely. Because that's how you registered it as a security. That's what gives it a specific thing. Look at what Patrick Devine did with his car license plates. He privately registered it, mailed it to himself, and he told the state, hey, this is a private title or a private registration of my vehicle, and I got he put the registered mail number on the back of his license plate.
Okay, very
Yep.
cool. So in any time we send any of these forms, do we have to send them registered mail or anything like that?
No, you want always certification that they received it. So certified mail, return receipt, green card.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Not a problem.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, you ready? Go for it.
Now, look, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just going to give a stab at this.
Neither
Okay?
do I. I'm just
I watched the other video last night, and then I'm coming into this, and I'm just trying to put this big pie together.
yeah, right.
And so let's just say we've established these three entities that we
Right.
should be functioning under. We should stay closer towards our name, it seems like, because I mean, right now that's the only identification that I have to even prove if I'm even going in and out of any banking, right?
Yeah, why do people want to change the name? I mean, if you really want to change your name and go through all that, go for it. No, I mean, but just call yourself who you are. I mean, that's by which everybody refers to you anyways. And we'll get into that a little bit more. I think you guys are just missing one concept. I'm going to put it together in this next document that we'll review together.
So Paul,
Mhm.
and I guess I'm catching it because it's like, you know, we've been taught so long, you don't want to be here, you don't want to be in this system, and we've been taught that the IRS and everything is our enemy. And kind of like from what I'm getting in this last week of studying, really they're not our enemies. These things, we just have not been told where to find our remedy and the right people. They've been marketing out there against us to hate everything and to be on the defensive.
Yeah.
And so that's why we don't trust anything, and we don't know who the hell we are because they keep us confused.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, really, you guys, if there's anything that really Patrick has done to really open my eyes, because, you know, I'm a student as well, and is that he told a story. As soon as you hear about the truth movement or secured party movement, whatever it is that you want to call it, we dive almost immediately into what the information is and what can I do to give myself remedy, that we don't look at the whole story and the whole picture. I'm here to paint the story as your foundation so then you can launch off into your learning.
Okay.
Listen to the story, and as long as you get the story, you'll be able to fight any case, any problem, because that's your foundation, because you know what's going on. And no one can confuse you after that. And that's really what Patrick did. He just painted the story. That's why so many he was the guru of gurus, and why so many followed him. He found out about the 98 EIN number. He found out about the 1099s. He figured out the establishing a UCC contract trust in the process for that every other guru is following. But most importantly, he painted the image in the picture for others to teach upon. And that's what I'm here to get you guys to understand, is what's the story of the whole system that we're operating under. Okay, I see you guys have other questions. I really got to move on. I have so many other things. Please hold your questions and lower your hands for now, and then we'll come back to it. Okay, this is one of my favorites, the bounty hunter document. Oh, this is such a good one. Oh, man. Oh, all right. Let me scroll in a little bit. Who really knows American constitutional laws? Now, before I begin, just to tell you about Patrick, as I kind of stated before, he puts things in all caps to, signify the corporate state or the bar or something like that. But Patrick never wrote books. He wrote essays. And with essays, he was able to change so often the subjects that he was talking about. And then after he wrote the essay, he would provide an example with it along it. He never wanted to have a single book to where everything was in chronological order, because during the time by which he was doing these processes, he was changing all of the time. So if you really want to understand the big picture of what Patrick is saying, you need to put all of these essays together and start reading them like a book and listening to the audios. And now you'll start to see his picture. Unfortunately, he didn't have the technology or knew how to use it back then, so like we do today. But anyways, who really knows the American constitutional law? The valid federal republic government owner bounty hunters versus the foreign state commercial bar fraudulent bounty hunters operating as a unauthorized foreign state, foreign banking bounty hunters. Guys, that couldn't be more real. It is bounty hunter against bounty hunter, and you're going to see why. 70% of the world's bar bounty hunters in a commercial war with the United States people. A bounty hunter, sometimes called a bounty killer, is a person who captures fugitives and criminals for monetary reward, known as a bounty. This occupation, seen almost exclusively in the United States, is also known as bail enforcement agent, bail agent, recovery agent, or bail recovery agent, or fugitive recovery agent. While historically they existed in many parts of the world, bail bond agents are also exclusively found in the United States and the Philippines. Its former Commonwealth, as practice, is illegal under the laws of most other countries. In 1872, the Supreme Court ruled that bounty hunters were part of the U.S. law enforcement system with a decision of Taylor versus Tainto. There's down here, we're going to take an excerpt off of this case that he references. Therefore, a federal government owner bounty hunter has superior executive authority based upon the constitutional state preambles of ownership. Who do you own? What do you own, guys? Anybody tell me, what do you own?
Everything.
Everything.
You own your debtor, yes, which is really everything. You are the owner of your debtor surety slave. And as a U.S. executive law enforcement agent, per Article 2, Section 2, as a valid bounty hunter of your Republic States militia, and also in Article 4, Section 2, basically the Federal Republic government powers of the owner bounty hunter come from the following: the Republic Constitutions and the national constitutions under Article 2, Section 2, and Article 4, Section 2, and the 8th and 14th Amendments. As the Federal Republic government owner bounty hunter, you have superior standing over foreign commercial bar bounty hunters. The foreign commercial clerks of court and administrative foreign commercial bar courts to claim an outright 10% of administrative bail bond. Read that again. 10% of administrative bail bonds, known as the specific commercial contractor surety performance and payment bonds. When the valid Federal Republic government owner bounty hunter bail bond claims are initially presented using the required SF forms, okay? The SF forms for the reclaiming your surety slave and the recovery of his bailment surety bonds, which are addressed in the individual United States and state of foreign commercial leasing service non-construction contract surety performance and payment bond known as the real and true surety bail bonds, the SF30, the 1414, 1416, 1418, and also the SF 1047. 1047 is used for your receipts, plus other compensation ones. Per the above, as you are the only valid federal republic government owner bounty hunter, you can claim 10% on the spot as the bounty hunter and as the owner. You can, as the owner, you can claim the full bail bonds contract liquidated value, the full amount. If you are like, if you ever seen Dog the Bounty Hunter, I started watching that recently. It's free on YouTube. I would totally check it out. He says in there, yeah, every time I catch a fugitive, I get about 10 to 20% of whatever the bond amount is. So, you know, $20,000 bond, he's making $2,000, and that's, you know, how that goes. But if you are the owner of the fugitive, which is what Dog the Bounty Hunter did, because he had his own bail bonds company. So he would bring people in who, you know, trouble with the law, need a bail bond, and he wanted to be the owner of that fugitive. Well, guess what? You are the owner of your fugitive slave, your debt surety. Okay. The SF forms for the all caps United States bankrupt corporate indenture, foreign commercial leasing service construction contract. Remember, this is non-construction. This is construction contract, surety performance and payment bonds known as the real true surety bail bonds. It says this sentence again because these are the real and true bail bonds for the construction contracts, as these are the real and true surety bail bonds for the non-construction contracts. The SF30, SF28, 25, 25A, SF95, and the SF 1047, plus other compensation forms. When I was first researching or, you know, coming to light about the SF forms from Patrick Devine, I went online to see other people in the truth movement on if they could give me any information about this. And the internet was flooded with truth movement people only using the construction contracts. Patrick did the same thing at first before he started to realize, wait a minute, this isn't a construction contract for the shirt. We're not construction workers. We're non-constructors. So we're for the performance and payment bond. And that's why there's the difference between the two. Okay, therefore, a federal government badged Republic State Militia bounty hunter, you have the right to carry and conceal unlicensed guns and self-protective equipment. You can order the sheriff and the U.S. Marshals to arrest any foreign commercial state insurrection agent, and the seizure of any foreign commercial construction products, and or claim 10% as the federal government bounty hunter and up to 50% as a federal government prosecuting private attorney general. We're going to get into that in a moment. Of their foreign state commercial individual or corporation bail bonds, in the names and just compensation that is due to the real federal republic government, and the bounties are addressed in the reward postings for the foreign commercial insurrection banking bar agents and corporations, and such as Title 15 USC 1 and 2. You receive as the bounty hunter $1 million per individual and $100 million per corporation. Guys, as a bounty hunter, it's hunting season.
I'm ready.
And you're going to go after your surety, and you're going to go find anybody who stops you under and hit them with Title 15 USC 1 and 2. and say, hey, this is racketeering. This is RICO. You're trying to stop me from claiming what's rightfully mine. Okay. Again, we're going to go a little bit into this in just a moment, especially the private attorney general and what it means to be badged as a republic state militia bounty hunter. Okay. Who really knows the American constitutional law is continued? The fraudulent and foreign commercial banking insurrection states located within the boundaries of the Republic State of America is a total violation of the Constitution per Article 4, Section 3. What Patrick is going to really outline here is the constitutional republic and how it's different. Remember when we were talking about there's the Article 1, 2, and 3, which is the executive, judicial, and the legislative branch, okay? Those are the public entities. Again, you're coming in as an Article 4, the fourth branch of government. And there's the other fourth branch of government, and that's the federal for-profit corporation Federal Reserve banking system, okay? That's using your collateral assets for profit through the performance bond by putting it out on the open market for investors. But so then they can take a profit, put it in their pocket, and then not report it on their taxes. Okay? So these foreign banking controlled commercial states, then by their foreign bar agents, they have imposed fraudulent laws and codes in order to force the people, the American people, into unconstitutional commercial contracts known as UCC contract trust, issued and licensed out by the Commercial Department of the Treasury. The American Bar Association was been declared to be a foreign commercial communistic organization by the 1958 National Congress years ago, and it's still operating today under its same communistic modus operandi. The lower level members do not know this, but they are getting kickback payments, and their court actions tell the rest of the story. The communists hate individual freedoms and private property ownership. Just look at their laws, their court rulings against the individual freedoms and confiscation of property in their commercial foreign banking all-cap state prisons for profit. The Bar Association operates in hidden foreign commercial banking bounty hunter. Guys, listen to this next sentence very closely. Within the bounty hunter system in this nation, to file a 10% bail bonds claim using the court cases, your traffic tickets, your violations, your speedings, your DUIs, whatever, your court cases showing that the fugitive was present in court. He wasn't, but the court was claiming you, the living, were the fugitive slave. Therefore, they can suck off assets from our UCC contract trust performance and payment bonds, because these bonds are in fact bailment bonds for our fictional slave, and they are fugitives from the Republic State and are being held in the foreign commercial all-cap state commercial judicial bail bond slave depositories. Lot to take in. Really, to summarize that, if you're going to court, they're claiming you as the person, the living, or they're claiming your surety as the fugitive, okay? But they're claiming you as, because you're attached to that fugitive, as the one that's shown up. So now your prosecutor and the judge waiting for you to come in, you come in and surrender yourself and you say, I am this person. And they, as the bail bonds claiming bounty hunter, take 10% off of that performance and payment bond or bail bond claim that brought you into the court in the first place. And then if you don't show up to work, then The bounty hunters go out and find you. And they say, hey, you missed out on court. You didn't show up. Make sense?
Fraud.
Any questions on that so far?
Keep it rolling.
Keep it rolling.
Good stuff. Good stuff, Paul.
All right. The
Paul,
American.
I just got a comment.
Let me read this last section, and then I will get to your comments, because this is where everything gets brought together. Okay, under the Article 4. Okay, the American people are the executive owners per the preamble. Guys, you've heard this preamble in school. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our prosperity. Do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. It is very clear by the 7 words that the people are the United States and not the national government nor territorial states. Also, this is the same in every state constitution. Now, what is the Article 4? Let's get into it. It's Article 4 is the National Republic Constitution. Where do you want to operate under in your non-UCC? Under the Republic, the National Republic. Section 1, full faith and credit shall be given. Great start. In each state to the public acts, records, and judicial proceedings of every other state. And the Congress may, by general laws, prescribe the manner in which such acts, records, and proceedings shall be proved, and the effect thereof. Your proof of the United States Republic banking assurance, a non-usury insurance. A public act is a public debt, and therefore the people's full faith and credit from the national treasury was to make good on any public debt. There was to be no debtor prisons in this nation. HJR 192 is the general law which prescribe the manner in which the public act of the debt was to be set off, using the SF30 and the UCC contract trust bail bonds as the surety, controlled by the Department of Justice or the GOJ Justice Finance Office. Section 2. The citizens of each state shall be entitled to all privileges and immunities of citizens in several states. A person charged in any state with treason, felony, or other crime who shall flee from justice and be found in another state, again, all caps, this is the foreign state, shall, on demand of the executive authority of the state, lower case, from which he fled, be delivered up to be removed from the state having jurisdiction of the crime by a valid executive owner of age as Supreme Court validated unlicensed executive bounty hunter, private attorney general, and Republic Bank examiner. No person held in service or labor in the state under the laws, therefore, escaping into another, shall, in consequence of any law or regulation therein, be discharged from such service or labor, but shall be delivered upon the claim, what are we claiming, non-UCC, of the party to whom such service or labor may be due. The valid party is the executive owner of age, the executive bounty hunter, and the private Republic Bank examiner. This action of discharge is also addressed in the 14th Amendment, Section 4. All right, last section. Section 3, new states, all caps, may be admitted by the Congress into this union, but no new state shall be formed or erected within the jurisdiction of any other state. the state constitution. That's my emphasis on that. Nor any state be formed by the junction of two or more states or parts of states without the consent of the legislatures of the state concerned, as well as of the Congress. The United States, all caps, and the state of are the new commercial, unconstitutional, insurrectional corporation states for unjust profits.
Wow.
The Congress shall have power to dispose of and make all needful rules and regulations respecting the territory or other property belonging to the United States, and nothing in this Constitution shall be so construed as to prejudice any claims of the United States or any particular state. You are the living United States. That's why they cannot prejudice you. Section 4, last one. The United States shall guarantee to every state in this union a republican form of government and shall protect each of them against invasion and on application of legislator or the executive when the legislative cannot be convened against domestic violence. You as you are the living United States, you shall always invoke the laws of the Republic as the superior laws. This is the big enchilada. The reason why we read through this document, not only for you to understand where your Article 4 power comes from and where we read it, but you need, in order to make all of this come true, you need to invoke the laws of the Republic and the superior laws. How do you invoke the superior laws?
Authority.
By this. This is what Patrick had originally. Okay? He had this, and it was proof of public law identification. Okay? He put up that he was the executive owner, bounty hunter, and private attorney general. And we're going to read this for a section, but really quickly, that's the old stuff. We're in the new age now, so we have actually a better template. Here's a updated one, much more professional and a little bit more organized. I did this for myself along with the help of others. So I thank those that have the editing ability to make this a more concise document. But let's go ahead and read this. This is how you invoke your rights under the Republic and for you to be a bounty hunter, private attorney general, and executive owner. We the people and American public citizens, proof of public law identification. Under Constitution, Article 4, Section 2, the citizens of each state shall be entitled to all privileges and immunities of citizens in several states. In the American Republic, the highest usage of the frame United States belongs to we the people, and not to the fixed land or the constitutional public servant banking government. I stand over the commercial for-profit United States banking government, as I am the Republic grantor and guarantor. I have full rights as the U.S. Republic law enforcement executive banking examiner over my public and commercial accounts and contracts. And American public citizens' rights and freedoms as a privilege is a right to contract using an implied surety fictional slave person, and an immunity means you are not to be forced into a contract. And right below this, he writes, I invoke the laws of the Republic as a bank grantor, United States Executive Republic law, banking enforcement, owner, bounty hunter, private attorney general, one having a Republic executive banking examiner's authority, based upon the Constitution preambles of ownership and being an 1872 Supreme Court validated U.S. law enforcement agent. Basically, the Federal Republic executive powers of a bank owner, bounty hunter, private attorney general are further confirmed in the National Banking Republic Constitution and the State Bank Republic Constitutions per Article 2, Section 2 as a state's militia and all of Article 4 and the 8th, 9th, 10th, and 14th Amendments. Guys, this was Devine's public identification. Every time he sent in his SF forms, this was the authority by which he was operating by through registered mail. He had his country's symbol at the top with the 13 numbers of the United States symbol with the peace flag on it. He had his state's republic's image on the top right-hand side. And what he did is he put all of his banking power in one document of authority and had a badge to go along with it. You see, the badge right here gives the emphasis of the jurisdiction that you're operating under, which is the U.S. Republic. The U.S. Republic is foreign to the foreign banking law government laws that are imposed on us. What is also foreign is our foreign grantor trust EIN number that we are grantor under. So he is putting the Republic foreign jurisdiction that he's under and putting his foreign entity, claiming him as the grantor. Now you see, the foreign grantor trust is connected to the individual banker or private bank that he created as well. This is the savings account of it. But really, the foreign grantor trust is the spirit of the private bank. And the estate number or the estate EIN is the body of the private bank. And the private bank itself that holds the body and the spirit is known as the Godhead. Everybody, this is how Patrick Devine enforced his authority. He brought his spirit, his body, and his Godhead and his Republic executive banking authority and said, give me my fucking money. That's how he did it. He went in and forced himself into his surety slaves. And this is how the order goes, okay? The order of his bank is also inside of here. Before I get into the order of it, we'll start with the definitions. Something else.
Nice.
And oh, actually, I put it inside the file, so I don't have to go far. So he said that he was a private attorney. This is where he's referencing the RICO, aka Racketeering Act, establishes your private attorney general's authority. Okay, let's just take a minute to cover this, and then it's really gonna say, like, all come together. Both statutes, RICO and Clayton Act, bring to bear the pressure of private attorney generals on a serious national problem for which public prosecutorial resources are deemed inadequate. The reason why RICO came along is the mafia. Basically, the mafia was running amok. They were doing tax evasion. They were doing drug smuggling and all of that. And they were just like, hey, we really need to combat these mafia members on a more individual basis. So they created RICO, which is a form of a racketeering act to give the general public the ability to be private attorney generals to then bring these mafia members or racketeers or private corporations into justice. In rejecting a significant different focus under RICO, therefore, we are honoring an analogy that Congress itself accepted and relied upon, and one of that promotes the objectives of civil RICO as readily as it is further the objectives of the Clayton Act. Both statutes share a common congressional objective of encouraging civil litigation to supplement government efforts to deter and penalize the respectively prohibited practices. The object of civil RICO is thus not merely to compensate victims, but to turn them into prosecutors, private attorney generals, dedicated to eliminating racketeering activity. The private attorney general concept holds that a successful private party plaintiff is entitled to recovery of his legal expenses, including attorney fees, if he has advanced the policy inherent in public interest legislative on behalf of the significant class of person. Okay, that's Black's laws. Private attorney general is a private citizen who commences a lawsuit to enforce a legal right that benefits the community as a whole. That's what a private attorney general does. He calls out racketeering. He's doing it for the public's benefit by calling them out. A private attorney general is a private citizen who brings a lawsuit considered to be in the public's interest, i.e., benefiting the general public and community as a whole. The private attorney general concept holds that a successful private party plaintiff is entitled to the recovery of his legal expenses, attorney fees, and if has advanced the policy inherent in the interest of the legislation on behalf of a significant class of person. Okay, done with that. Now, back to this. How Patrick operates is he takes his bounty hunter, goes out to collect and find the fugitive and collects all the contracts to bring them back to the bank to give it to the banking examiner. The banking examiner examines the documents that the bounty hunter gave them and recontracts with using the SF forms to send over for the contract renegotiation. If under the contract renegotiation does not commence against the private for-profit bank that he's dealing with, or title of the vehicle, or a certificate of live birth, driver's license, or any of that, then the banking examiner brings up his investigation up to the private attorney general in the bank, and the private attorney general reports the matter to the IRS, CID, and the FBI. So then the laws are enforced, and he's pointing out the racketeering under the investigation that the bounty hunter and the banking examiner found. And that's the whole document. Oh, wow.
That was so good.
That was a lot.
Incredible.
So that's why the public identification document was so important to have to enforce, because he invokes himself in the private to be a law enforcement agent and a bank examiner and a private attorney general. And he has his non-UCC to back it up. So now he has his own entity that he created that's separate from him, the living. He now identified the Article 4 banking, for-profit banking system. And it says, now I am ready on all three accounts of authority that I'm operating under to take you to justice. Are there any questions?
Let's take them.
Let's go ahead, raise the hand first. Let's start with Haywood White.
Yes, my question is about the first class that we had about the individual banker filing that form SS4. Online, it was completely different. So
Okay.
I filed.
Before we get into that, I will retouch up on the individual banker's EIN. Is there any questions on what you next have to do, which is to go get your public identification card? No? Haywood? Okay. Let's go to DW Consultants.
I mean, I think this kind of has to do with it. I was just wondering about operating under these authorities. You get your ID, but what about noticing like your local sheriff and stuff like that, so that you're letting people know ahead of time how you're going to be operating?
Your notice is by private registered mail, and you can tell a law enforcement person, hey, I'm a bounty hunter, I'm a private attorney general, and I'm an executive owner, but you don't have to notify. The reason why you would notify people, I mean, unless you're trying to get a license through the state to be those things like a bounty hunter, because they give licenses and they have a process to be a bounty hunter through the state. But bounty hunters by the 1874 laws are all private. So there's no reporting to be given to the state. Actually, Dog the Bounty Hunter, I don't even think he even registered himself with the state. Maybe he did his business, but he would work with law enforcement. If you watch his shows, he would find a fugitive. They'd be in the house. He's going to make $2,000 off of that fugitive if he catches them. And honestly, he just walks right in to a police department that's local there and says, hey, I'm a bounty hunter. Here's my badge. Here's my number. Here's my fugitive. He's down the street and at home right now. I just confirmed it. Can you go arrest him for me? And then they go do that. Then when they go arrest him, and then they bring him over to the jail or the prison, and then Dog gets paid. And he instructs the U.S. Marshals, and that's why he's friends with all the law enforcement. He's like, because as a bounty hunter, you're going after just the fugitives, and the state, all caps, law enforcement is there to help you with that.
Okay,
but you don't
cool.
need to inform them besides telling them in person.
Okay, I'm gonna watch the show too.
Super good. I know. All right, so let's go to Brian Timms. Nothing? Okay, let's go to Jasmine.
Wait.
Wait.
I'm sorry, did you ask for me?
Yeah, Brian.
Jasmine. Oh.
Well,
yeah, I was just I couldn't find the ID template. When I pull it up in the folder, it just
the reason why is because this is course number 2 files. I'll post them up later. You can access them through Creditor Academy email. And I'll probably put it directly on the YouTube link because that's just logical and really convenient for everybody.
Okay, all right.
All right.
Gotcha.
Jasmine, go for it.
You just answered the question, Grand Rising, and I love everything you're doing.
Okay, gotcha. Aswad.
So once you post the that information, we'll be able to get our identification that way, or is there another process?
No, it's simple. Let me one more thing I want to add. This identification is not only you're invoking your rights, but you're also getting your confirmation through your EIN numbers. Your EIN numbers are already approved by the government. They're government issued numbers. Okay. And then down here, I forgot to mention this, is your notary public signatures. Here is your public verification through the notary to give you the authority. So now you have all three. You have your U.S. granted numbers for your individual banker's EIN, estate EIN, and foreign grantor trust, and you have a public notary to go ahead and stamp it, and you mailed it to yourself. So now it's a mailing instrument.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they're pretty easy. Not too bad. Patrick's pretty legit. Again, none of my info. Okay. Any other questions on the Jake? Go for it, Jake Long.
Yeah, did you get the ID card yet?
Yes, I have it mailed to me. I ordered, after I had it redone, I had a new mail ID card, and then I also ordered my badge. What I tend to do is to carry that. That is your identification. Actually, here's another point of contention that I want to mention. I looked all over the internet, and I remember when I was first doing this movement, I was wanting to get on the do not detain list, and like, oh, well, copper steals, do this, submit your stuff, get on the do not detain list. And then by the time I did that and I got on the do not detain list, and then I found out Patrick's information, I was just like, dang it, I just did all that work. And now I created another account, another bond that through Washington, D.C., the State Department, that now I have to go liquidate that. This identification is a private identification. You don't need your passport to say do not detain. That's why Patrick carried his badge and his ID and also this document inside of a wallet. So then when anybody, a police officer or anything like that, he's like, hey, I'm law enforcement too. Here you go. Well, who are you law enforcement through? And like, it's private. Under what? And like under the laws of this piece of paper that I just invoked, that a notary public signed, and that's registered mail, and that the U.S. government gave me my identifying numbers for. And that's how he operated. That was his main identification. And then when he went to go litigate or renegotiate or modify contracts, he would send this paper along into it. And really, that gets a lot more attention when you mail something to the utility company and then they open it up and they see your name, your badge, the authority that you're operating under, your banking forms, your cover letter. I mean, that just shows that you mean business. And really, hopefully, it doesn't always happen, but hopefully the person goes ahead and acts upon your paperwork a little bit more diligently, so then you don't have to go through the laborious process of reporting them to the CID or the Treasury Inspector General and all of them. Okay, next, Dung Van.
Yes. How you doing?
Yeah,
Okay,
you're doing well.
Okay, I'm new to this, so when you said to get the 3 EINs, okay, and earlier you said something about, I heard you said something about security, what is it? Security, not the non-UCC, the secure party creditor.
Yeah.
So before we get the 3 IENs first, then we become a secure party creditor?
No, what the secured party is the one that's named on the non-UCC. So
Okay,
if you don't have your individual banker's EIN, I tell everybody the same thing. Get your individual banker's EIN, start there, get your foreign grantor trust, get your estate EIN. It's going to take like 2-3 days to do it because they don't allow you to get all 3 EINs in one day. You can do 2 online. The FGT has to be done over the phone. And, you listen to the last call about that. And after you get that, then you can do your non-UCC filing. But really, this is fast-acting stuff, guys. You can get this done in a week.
Okay, because I have 2 of the EINs. I don't have my foreign grantor's EIN. I got.
Okay, watch the first video and then go ahead and address that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, no problem. Let's go to Carlos. What's up, man?
What's going on, man? I muted myself and took my camera off.
Yeah. No worries. No worries.
Hey, man. So let's play devil's advocate for everybody. Let's just say we send everything out and these people don't act. How can we enforce that?
Yeah, it's going to have to be in my next class. It is, you need to hear the whole story. And the whole story is the Treasury banking system and how it operates. I am going to be repeating over and over and over and over that the first thing that they're doing in violating your rights is being for profit using the performance bond by giving it out to investors. Those investors are now using your collateral. Did you guys give permission to give your money to be invested in?
No.
No.
They're operating fraud.
Yeah, operating in total fraud. So they did not, they don't have permission to do that. That's the first fraud. And the reason why I would just want you guys to kind of see the whole story for right now is because if you get all of your identification, let's say you do your non-UCC, you get your 3 EINs, you do your public identification form and you do it right and you register, mail it to yourself. And you are now going to be stepping in and now calling fraud on whatever institution that you're going against. And you're calling on the FBI and the CID and the Treasury Inspector General and the SEC and the FDIC. And they call you and they say, what are you talking about? I better have a damn good answer, because that's a serious offense for RICO. And that's what I want to drill into your minds, is recognize the fraud on what's happening. Just listen to the story of what Patrick is saying through these essays that he's done, and know by what authority you're operating under, and you'll be able to identify the fraud and articulate it properly. Okay, well, great. Glad you asked that question. Put your hands down if you already asked a question and I answered you. Let's go to Kolakia. Nope. Okay, Jasmine.
I'm here.
Hi,
Oh,
me
Kolakia.
again.
Okay,
Oh,
sorry.
okay.
Go for it, Kolakia. No problem.
Yeah,
Go
I'm
for it.
sorry. I put my hand down before I opened the mic.
Oh.
Okay. So being new here and I'm just bringing this story together, are you saying that the story begins from the first class that you offered that I listened to yesterday and this is the second half of the story? Or
Yes.
is there a number? Okay, so that part of the story. Now, number two, this grantor trust, this 98 number foreign entity that we can pick any non-Hague location and an address and set it up, right? Here is my question. Does that supposed to be an irrevocable or revocable?
You're talking in terms of business trust. Okay. Yeah. So this is, where on the form does it say revocable or irrevocable?
In the ones that I've created in my past, right? And that's what I want to do here. I want to separate those other entities that also say you have to qualify and
a revocable or irrevocable is in reference to a business trust and its indenture agreement.
Okay.
And when you create a business trust, you choose if it's in the indenture agreement, which is basically the contract, you choose if it's going to be revocable or irrevocable.
Okay, but in this process, does that matter?
We're not doing business trusts.
Got you. So that's the part that I'm trying to
Oh,
separate.
gosh. Okay.
Right, because I've been taught in this way, and I've been taught to, you know.
You will see. That's a good question. I'll address that very briefly because I gotten that like a half dozen times. You're going to see Patrick operates differently, but it's the same triangle. Okay. So you have the private banker as EIN, as the Godhead. And with the business trust, it's your corporation, a corporate EIN. And then you have your foreign grantor, which is the spirit. And then you have the state as the body, as the same with the private bank. The thing of it is under a business trust, you're operating as an S corporation. Okay. So you're under still the tax laws, you're for profit, right? Because you're operating with commerce. And a lot of you created a $100 million bond that you're utilizing for that business trust, and you're trying to protect that bond utilizing a business trust. Patrick says, I'm a creative nonprofit bank. You rob my bank or take my stuff as a nonprofit entity, I'm going to go after you like a bounty hunter. You best believe that. That's the difference.
Okay, so, and please help me wrap my mind. There's another person on here that knows exactly what I'm talking about. So creating this in the same way with the Hague, but this case, it's more for the private, not under those particular statutes of business in the UCC. That's why it separates. One is for UCC and one is for non-UCC. Is that what you mean?
Yep, correct. Yeah.
Okay.
And we'll get more into that. Patrick goes into it more. That's under his document, which you can look up ahead of time, which I recommend. Establishing a UCC contract trust. That will kind of touch upon in the next class on Thursday. Basically, I'll kind of cover the whole story and who the big players are and why you hear people say that you need to do a UCC1 filing. You got to do a security agreement, yada, 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 all that.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right. What else do I have to go over before? Okay, I did that. All right. I have one more document I'm going to go over. Please put your hands down for now, and then I'll answer questions again at the end. Thank you. All right. This is probably one of my favorite documents that Patrick put together for the benefit of all of us in our understanding.
Oh, yeah.
And it's called the All-American Home Run Game Winner. Oh, I love that. I love that title. The All-American Home Run Game Winner is an Article 4 Republic Eminent Domain official order to the court to reclaim the Republic credits and cancel the fraudulent private debt. The American Constitution versus the American game of baseball. Here we go. The two teams, American citizen creditors versus the all caps United States citizen debtors. A citizen player cannot play on both teams. On first base, and public umpire under Article 1 is the legislative public employee, like we talked about earlier. Second base and public umpire, Article 2, executive public employer branch. And on third base, as the public umpire under Article 3, is the court judicial public entity branch. And on the home plate and public official umpire is the Article 4, one of the sovereignty people and or states, the Republic. A vast majority of the time we have been stranded on one of the three bases because we lacked the understanding of how to get home. We have allowed the other team, the United States citizens, to use their own U.S. umpires. An American home run is your uncontested eminent domain claim. And it can also make a home score for anyone that is on one of the three bases. The U.S. citizen umpires cannot prevent that home run. There are two types of citizen trusts in the United States of America since 1933. The first one is the constitutional Article 4 American Citizen Public Trust. As a we the people non-commercial money trust, just monetary exchange, per the United States of America Constitution, Article 4, where the plaintiff is one of the general public American citizens as a government official owner creditor of age 25. This is also addressed in Article 4, Section 4, the Fourth Amendment, and the 1868 Expatriation Act, as our right to use an uncontested eminent domain claim as an act of coming home as a republic. The second is the all caps United States citizen private implied commercial trusting using collateral trust certificates as private commercial securities. With a U.S. private surety, a privately owned, undisclosed contractor's contract, and one of the several private governmental commercially licensed contractors. The many different U.S. citizen private commercial collateral trust certificates are under the different contractors' contracts are in the following security forms: the certificate of live birth, the selective service certificate, the military DD 214, the honorable discharge certificate, the state marriage certificate, the certificate of vehicle title, the certificate of title to property, commercial bank and trust accounts, checking and savings, U.S. passport, state driver's license and or ID, all insurance policies, etc., for there are hundreds more. We, the people, with our private free will, authorized the collateral trust certificate securities with the United States Corporation and the state of corporation. The commercial banks and trust for checking and savings accounts, insurance accounts, all caps, without receiving the full disclosure as required by Section 2 of the 1933 Securities Act. Thus, we allowed our constitutional Article 4 public credit transfer to the private governmental and commercial contractors. The contractor's contract, undisclosed part of the Securities Act of 1933. Was it disclosed? No, it was undisclosed. You didn't know about it. Your mama didn't know about it. Nobody knew about it. Section 11 has been hidden from you, the private owners, which is as follows. The collateral trust certificate contracts establish a surety person, I wonder who that could be, in the form of an account number. That could be the account number to your utility company, to your bank account, all the things that were listed above here, which contain a payment bond holding your collateral credits and deposits, of which in turn is known as the national debt that is owed to your Article 4 public American citizen. Guys, let's outline that. The news lied to you. That national debt is not what we owe China. It's not what we owe Ukraine or Russia or any other country. The national debt is a representation of the debt or the money and credits taken from the Article 4 public American citizens. When you reclaim your assets back as an Article 4 public banker, you are lowering the national debt. Okay. And a performance bond, which used your collateral to obtain a usury interest from the bondages. These was to be used to pay all of your bills and debts, but the main purpose was to give a profit to the contractors and bribes to the private government employees. Who are the private government employees? It's 1, 2, and 3. Okay. In order that some form of just exchangement was to be maintained, in 1938, the unconstitutional United States private court system was established, and major parts of it was a private for-profit bankruptcy court system, which was set up to oversee and control the private governmental and commercial licensed contractors. They are now controlled within the 1978 revamped federal private for-profit bankruptcy court computer database system, working along with the private for-profit Department of Justice. Noticing a pattern here, everybody's for-profit, which together they oversee the Chapter 11 bankrupt, all caps, bankrupt debtors in possession. But in the process, the people have been deprived of their just labor exchangement, and equality in law, all for the beneficial unjust gains and profits of the private, governmental, and commercially licensed contractors. Therefore, as we the people are the only true American private property owners, inheritors, grantors, creditors, and depositors as an Article 4 sovereignty American citizen, the only way to grab the game-winning home run from the jaws defeat is to invoke an uncontested eminent domain claim against your U.S. private commercial citizen debt owner.
Yup.
Oh, so question is, how do you do that? 1 second. Okay. So let's start off with what is an eminent domain claim? Okay. An eminent domain claim is when the public comes in and claims the property back from the private. Okay. How you claim it back is with the proper authority, the proper standing, and the proper forms. Okay. Your proper standing is your secured party non-UCC over your debtor. Your proper authority is by your public contract. Okay. Public identification, excuse me. Your public identification where you invoke the laws. That's why it says invoke, the uncontested eminent domain. Then you do your banker's endorsement on the back of your a bill, debt, whatever that you got. And then finally, your SF forms, the SF30, the 1414, 1416, 1418. Okay, so now there's your trifecta of 3 on how to get your eminent domain claim. And then if you do not get remedy or you get pushback, now you could go ahead and make a superior claim as the private attorney general to point out racketeering. Now, this is where your power gets in, which is now in part 2. The All-American Home Run Part 2, the restoring of the American Republic government. Full faith and credit is the key supreme power of the sovereignty. In the United States, the sovereignty resides in the body of the people. As we, the people, are the only true American sovereignty public owners, inheritors, grantors, creditors, depositors of the American Public Credit Trust, and private non-commercial property owners, by our American native birthing or naturalization as Article 4 sovereignty American citizens, the only way for us to grab the game-winning home run from the jaws of the defeat, this is kind of reiterating, is to invoke an uncontested eminent domain claim against our foreign banking contracted U.S. private commercial citizenship as a national collateral surety debt. For the citizenship liquidation and the collateral assets held by the foreign banking courts to be deposited back into the general American Public Credit Trust. You have just repatriated with your American Public Sovereignty Trust and all your Article 4 public rights and protections. An American Article 4 public citizen creditor is one of the American Constitution's sovereignty official purse string officers having a voting control of extra tariff public funds that are to be used for the salaries and operating payments for all the Article 1, 2, and 3. Who are the Article 1, 2, and 3? Judicial, executive, and the other administrative branch. For their non-commercial for-profit employees and departures. Okay, this is how, so now we know who the players are. We know that these guys are going for profit and that they have access to this American Public Credit Trust that they're not giving us access to. They're not giving us proper access because we're not coming to the proper authority. So that's why when you hear so many people that are just like, oh, I read HJR 192 and, you know, the Treasury Department is supposed to offset all of my debts, you know, they don't come in as an Article 4. And that's why they deny you, because you don't have control of your straw man over the non-UCC 3. Okay. So what happens is people who have done nothing, that watched a video, that went ahead, took their debts and whatever, and sent it off to the Treasury Department, they don't look at you as a living human being. They look at you as a debtor. They look at you as a foreign entity. And that's why they're denying you access to the American Public Credit Trust. Okay. So by repatriating yourself with your American Public Sovereignty Trust and invoking your Article 4 public rights and protections, you now can get access to that public account. And now you have somewhere to transfer those assets, which is your private bank. Because where are you gonna transfer all those assets if you're coming in with no entity to do it? Whether it's a business trust or your own private bank, there needs to be a place for all the assets to be transferred. An American 4 public citizen creditor is one of the American Constitution's sovereign. Okay, I read this. Okay. The Article 1, 2, and 3 public governmental employees cannot draw from the American Public Credit Trust while they are in their American public employment. Guys, he's about to point out the fraud to give you your power. Okay? Start with that again. The Article 1, 2, and 3 public government employees cannot draw from the American Public Credit Trust while they are in an American public employment status. Okay. Even the Constitution says this. It says no public official can run for office while they are also inhabiting the office. That's illegal. You can't do that. It's against the Constitution. Yet every election year, it ends up happening for another 4 years, another 2 years, and then you have these senators that are in there for like 40 years. Because they temporarily lose, because you're a public official, you lose their sovereignty status. Why? Because you're a public official. While as an American governmental public employee, they are also required by law to surrender all their private and implied commercial trust foundation debtor assets. All right, so imagine, I want to be president. I want to be a senator. Whatever. And then you go ahead, you run for election, you get into office. Now you got the Treasury Inspector General, the CID, they all come up to you and they say, hey, we noticed that you have a debtor asset. Yeah, I do. Let me take a look. Yeah, there's a couple $100 million in there. We got to take that for a little while you're in office. Oh, okay. I guess that's fair, I think. So that's why they surrender all their private and implied commercial trust foundation rights, being a public servant, because you can't have private rights in a public capacity when you're serving the public. As these assets to be placed into the American Public Credit Trust, that's where their assets are. They're like, hey, give me your assets. Now we're going to put it all in here. Or they are to be placed under the treasonous commercial private foreign citizenship eminent domain charge by at least 2 American Article 4 public citizen creditors. These are 2 or more charging witnesses are to be placed under witness protection. So we don't know who these are. So when these people go into office and they're like, okay, I'm going to be an office holder now, they have 2 witnesses that do that transaction or verify it. And the Article 3 courts are to ensure that these foreign debtor collateral assets are seized and deposited into the American Credit Trust. Okay, the Article 3 courts, they get involved. Okay, now you're president. Congratulations. I'm going to ensure that your foreign debtor assets are seized and deposited into the American Public Credit Trust. Okay, This is important. I'm going to repeat it over and over because this is what you're going to be, this is what's going to make them scared of you. Okay. The Article 1, 2, and 3 American public government employees are able to retain all of their other private non-commercial estate properties. But if the American public employee refuses to comply with your certificate of title, with your marriage certificate, whatever you're trying to do for the performance and payment bond, with the commercial private foreign citizen debtor asset, which is what you own your debtor asset, surrender. So commercial private foreign citizen debtor asset surrender, they will lose all of their American Article 4 public citizen protected rights. That's why you can get $1 million per individual and $100 million per corporation, as in the document of the bounty hunter document that we read earlier. Okay. And the status plus their public governmental employment job and any benefits. Now you can liquidate their bond, which totally relinquishes them from the state protections, the public governmental employment protections that they're under, and you can injure their job and take all of their assets from the government to be rerouted to you. This is the power of being an Article 4 private banker in the public capacity against the foreign for-profit bankers of America that are also operating as an Article 4 branch of government. Other key articles for public American citizens are a grand jury can only be made up of Article 4 public American citizens over the age of 25 that are debt-free. That means they have no dual foreign banking U.S. citizen surety debt controls. A jury in the Constitution, federal or state court is required to be made up of Article 4 public American citizens over the age of 25 that are also debt-free. That means they have no dual foreign banking U.S. citizen surety debt controls. As stated above about Article 1, 2, and 3, elected representative public servants, they have been only made up of Article 4 public American citizens over the age of 25 that are debt-free. That means they have no dual foreign banking U.S. citizen surety debt controls. And Article 4 public American citizen over the age of 25 can petition the Treasury anytime for a credit withdrawal from the American Public Credit Trust. Remember I just said, oh, people going in to go get their stuff discharged and they're coming in with their debtor identification. They're like, sorry, you're foreign. But if you're coming under the right Article 4 public American citizens over age that you invoked, now you have access to the HJR 192 like unlimited credit and the Article 4 full faith and credit through the American Public Trust of credits. But he cannot be under any dual foreign banking U.S. citizen surety debt controls when he makes his request. That's why you got to have your non-UCC. Your non-UCC is what separates you from that dual foreign banking, because right now your whole life is being seen as this debtor surety. And when you have a secured party over that, that is the new living nonprofit entity that you'll now be operating under. Okay.
Very nice.
There you go. Okay. Any questions? That was the last thing I had to present for course 2. Thank you very much for staying with me on that. I will now spend the remainder of the class answering and clarifying questions in any direction that you want to take it. But before we do, are there any questions on the All-American Home Run? Patrick, let's start with you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so basically, does that mean, do you have to revoke your U.S., your U.S.
No.
citizenship
No, no, no. You just register. You take that piece of paper. You get, your ID and stuff put on there. We're looking to organize at Creditor Academy an ability to get people ID cards and all that, because it's kind of a pain, and also to have an outlet for editing to do the badges. And when I'm not going to go ahead and reference anybody for right now, but for right now, I'll just post up the document in course 2, so then you can edit it to the best of your abilities. But that's all you need to do. You just need to invoke your rights privately, register mail, and have a notary public affirm it. And you need your individual banker's EIN and your foreign grants or trust and your state EIN.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, and I do have a question. I worked on my EINs since the last call, and I have a couple questions. Should I wait for that?
Wait for that. If you have EIN questions, put your hands down for now, and then I'll just go through the EINs really quickly. Okay? But if anybody has questions about the home run or anything else that we went on course number 2 today, I'm taking those right now. Let's go with you, Jasmine.
Hi again. Quick question from before you did the home run session. When you were talking about the ID. My question to you is, with that ID, can you use it to travel internationally, or do I keep my as you say, do not detain ID and travel with that?
Great question. Great question. Patrick Devine, very different man. His mission was to get out of the system. And he says, when you get out of the system, your private identity and capacity is going to be entirely different. You'll have a different passport. You'll have different access to credit and debit accounts. You'll have different public identification. He did not specify what that would look like. You won't be surrendering anything that you do have for now. You will be liquidating, though. But your ability to get in fully into the private is the main mission, so then you can have access to that other stuff. But in the meantime, use whatever supporting documentation for passports that you have currently.
Great. Thank you.
No problem. Let's go with Laura next.
Okay. So with the non-UCC, I've already actually am a secured party. I've already filed my UCC 1. I had my UCC 3. Everything went to the Treasury, my bond, my bill of exchange, all of it.
Right.
Can I still do?
I'm sorry, you cut out there on the last second. Go ahead and say that last sentence again.
The non-UCC and the rest of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because a lot of people did their UCC 1. They never heard of Patrick's final process before. And now they're just like, well, wait a minute, I want to operate this way. Yeah, it's we're going to go in course number 3 over that in detail in establishing a UCC contract trust. And you're going to see why the process that you did maybe a little bit more clearly, because again, we're just putting the story together. But no.
Oh no, I know why I did it.
Bankers, do you have your individual bankers?
I have and my foreign grantor trust and my estate trust, my estate.
Okay.
EIN.
If you have all 3 of those, you can do a non-UCC right now.
Okay.
Yep. Absolutely.
And just mail that to my self-registered.
Yep. Absolutely. With return green card.
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
All right, Alyssa.
Hi. Just real quick, when you were talking about the securitization process and people really knowing what's going on, the FDIC actually explains exactly what they're doing on their website. So I'm going to post a link there. It's in great detail and everything that you wanted to know about that securitization process. They are telling you. Probably nobody goes to the website to read it. And then the second thing, I saw all the questions about the foreign grantor trust. I did mine. What I did, I called in as I was the third party designee. So I used my married name and then used my maiden name, obviously for the legal name. And they did ask for a social security number. And I just said, ma'am, I'm just reading what's on the form. Don't have that. I'm giving you what I got. It took me all of 3 minutes. So if anybody has any questions or is panicking about that, maybe party up with somebody here and just have them do it as a third party designee so you aren't overthinking this thing. And I yield. Thank you.
Hey, absolutely. No, very well put, and great example with that one. All right, Kate, let's go to you.
Yes.
Yes.
My question, it comes from when you were talking about the business trust, you said that it's going to operate as an S corp and that it would be taxed. But if you are a private person, if you've done the whole legal part of trying to get the like getting out of the system, then you will be considered foreign. So if you get a foreign grantor trust and you put your business inside of that, would it still be taxable?
Are you a for-profit business or a not-for-profit business?
For-profit.
Gotta pay taxes on profit.
But if you're already non-taxable, how can that be?
You're for-profit.
Okay, so as long as you're a not-for-profit, then you won't be taxed.
Yep, exactly. That's why when you all do your like little banker's endorsement on the back and you're sending it, and we went over the first class and you say, hey, I would need a 1099-C because you're required to report this as taxable income, over to the IRS. They have to do that. That's tax evasion, what they're doing by not giving you that 1099-C. And that's why they're acting for profit, but they're a for-profit entity trying to masquerade as non-profit. That's what they're doing.
Yeah, because what ended up happening to me, I had to do some charge-offs or write-offs or whatever, and they put this on my credit reports, and it's still there. And I keep telling them that these particular debts that I had, I already received 1099-Cs for them. So those are considered personal income. Why is it still on my credit report and they still won't remove it? So I'm kind of confused on that part.
Yeah, I don't know your case. I can't say anything specific to it, but keep listening and maybe we'll put some pieces together down the road.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Let's go to Slick Barber Lounge. Slick Barber Lounge. That's where I want to go. Slick Barber Lounge. And okay, let's go to Mark.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Oh, Slick. Okay, there you Slick. Okay, what's up?
My apologies for that. My question was regarding the ID and becoming that bounty. Can you just do a quick rundown of what that process was? I was just writing some stuff and I might have missed something. I just wanted to know what that process was to be able to execute.
About being a bounty hunter? You want to know how to be a bounty hunter?
Well, yeah, with the process that you were going over today, right?
You do your public identification document that I showed earlier. You just go ahead, you fill in the informations, and you invoke your authority. Template, here we go. So here's the template. I'm going to post this template. There you go. This is everything. You're invoking your authority as a executive banking examiner, a bounty hunter, and a private attorney general. And this is your badge that you're operating it. And that's why it says executive owner, bounty hunter, private attorney general, because you're the executive owner over your surety. And this is where you invoke it. This is where the notary public goes. There's where you put your register mailing to yourself, once again, just like for the non-UCC. And then you date, you sign, and you do a sealment with your thumbprint. And then you just put in your face and put in your, address and all that, and then order an ID online and maybe crop this, however you want to do it. Again, I'm going to work on finding someone who can do all of this at Creditor Academy, because it's a quite cumbersome task, and many of you are looking for the same.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. I love the info.
Okay,
Great.
no problem. All right, let's go to Mark.
Yeah, hey.
Hey, what's going
you just
on,
answered
Mark?
my question, but my question is just curious on the initials on that badge, and you just ran through them. So it was the executive
owner, bounty hunter, and private attorney general.
DH and private attorney general.
Yeah. Anybody who's,
thank you.
Here's my voice. If you find an ID maker and a badge maker, have them reach out to me. We'll put it on the Creditor Academy website that's in development right now. And what I would like to do is have, everything just easily accessible. And again, Creditor Academy, as I see it, unveiling, because really and you know what, let me start off by saying this. Paul Michael Rowland, myself, I am not here to be any of your guru. I'm here to really give homage to a man with a great legacy and who did 10 years worth of research and effort for the benefit of everybody, and then got lost over the last 8 years worth of teachings, and resurfacing that so then I could be here for a short period of time to kind of help explain the process along the way of what it is he's bringing it together, and have all of you take it from there, and to create a new website and a new community that brings back his legacy, his documentation, his publications, as well as other gurus that can explain his process of the non-UCCs and all of that. So then everybody can kind of continue this going. And again, I'm only here for a brief amount of time. I am not trying to make a career out of these YouTube videos. I'm trying to get out of the system like Patrick did. And if this is a small hats off to him for helping me so much, that's really the brotherhood thing I'm trying to do while he's away. But yes, this is not to be forever.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. Okay, let's go to Carlos.
What's going on, man? Hey, couple things just to and to help that lady too. So with the non-UCC, one thing that I did and was amazing, I got it back the same day. So I have a mailbox, which is actually the suite for my SPC. I went there, obviously, you got to create a relationship with all this mailmen and mail ladies. And what I did, I paid for everything. I said, can I take it with me? I paid for it. I got my register and I got it back. So I got the envelope right away the same day from the post office. Now, that's just in case that could help someone. Now, with the credit, one thing that I did is, in order for that to be clear, all of my creditors got the copyright that if you are SPC, you got a copyright and a schedule of legal fees. So you take this affidavit, notarize it with legal fees, and tell them how much are they going to be charged if they don't take your name from the credit report or any derogatory from your credit report. Not only that, you can also go to Copyright Depot and do a copyright for your name and any variations of that. And that gives them 21 days for them to take them off, or you could sue them. You could do a tort claim against them. So all of that credit was clear. I went from being in the 600 to the 800 again. So that, just in case that could help someone as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Simple solutions are very, super effective. I mean, yeah, it's absolutely amazing. Thank you, Carlos, for sharing that.
You got it, man.
Okay. Kolakia.
Okay. Now I didn't mix up the hand raising to the microphone. Oh, also, I just want to say something when she was mentioning that about the credit report. There's a law, and I think you can find it on the IRS site. I don't know where it's at. Maybe you can email me. But basically, they can't use it on your credit report as income, because they're charging it off. Here again, once again, they're committing fraud. They're using your identity and they're posting all of this on your credit report. I've wiped my credit out once before and it moved a little bit. They changed the process and now it's a new process. Exactly kind of like what the guy said. Okay, so hit me up if you can get it because I can't recall it right now.
Cool.
This here in the classroom, now you mentioned where all the forms that, do they follow some type of flow chart or anything, or what you should do first? Don't go here. You got to have this done, this done, this done, boom.
Yes, course 1, course 2, course 3, course 4. Everything that I talk about in the forms for course 1, course 2, course 3, course 4s will all be presented right in a file for you guys. If you guys noticed, the first course information is only the documents that I gave in the first course. Then it'll be the same thing for this course. There'll be course number 2 and so on. And what's going to happen is when I repeat this series, which I hope I can get it done in 4 courses and restart from the beginning again, I could just explain the same information in a different way to further compound your learning. When I feel like that you guys are all compounded and you guys are set to go, then it's great. Then I can move on to the next section of Patrick Devine's final process.
And now where these videos are, I found them on the YouTube piece,
Yeah.
but where do I find the files that go with the videos?
Email creditoracademy@gmail.com. I'm in the works of setting up a website right now. And, setting up Creditor Academy is, it's quite a job and it takes a group of people for an effort. So if you're looking to volunteer or be a part of my organization of Creditor Academy and want to help build this along with me to help others, we can use all the help that we can get. I have managers, video editors, content creators. I have people who are professionals at websites. I'm now requesting ID makers, badge makers, people. I'm also requesting teachers. Listen, me teaching on Tuesday Thursday is fine because you guys can watch the video later on YouTube. But I mean, people want to ask live questions like every hour of the day. I can't be available every hour of the day. So if you guys really get course 1, and if I explained it accurately well enough, and that you understand the information, I want you guys to teach course 1. Patrick Devine didn't make it for one single guru to take all of the credit. And again, I'm not going to be here forever.
I definitely will volunteer to help. I'm gonna check on the badges because where I'm from, and I'm from Honolulu, the islanders had to make their own badges when they were bringing up the kingdom. So, and a few of my family members have those badges made
Cool
there.
deal. All right. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Maluhia, let's go to you.
Thank you so much for your time and doing this for everyone.
Yeah, no problem.
I have a question. What is the difference between liquidate and surrender?
Liquidating an asset from the performance or the performance or payment bond that's held in the fidelity bond that is housing both of those. When you liquidate it, it separates your attachment from the state. That's what it really means. When you surrender something, you're giving something up, but you're not terminating the account. You can't terminate something by surrendering it. The account's still active and live. I've seen people do that with their driver's license. They'll do that, try to get a state ID, and then they get a state ID. They get pulled over by a police officer. I got a state ID. What are you going to do about it? And they're like, oh, well, I see that there's a driver's license still on file, even though that you surrendered it. And they're going to keep writing tickets against that driver's license while it's still active. And then they're going to go ahead and bring you into court, charge you on that driver's license, and you're screwed.
Right. So liquidating is the best. What is the process of liquidating?
The SF30, the 1414, 1416, 1418, non-UCC, and the banker's endorsement on the back of all of your statements. Send it in to the correct authority. If it's a bank for a mortgage, you go to the bank. If you have a You could go to the Treasury Department for other bill. You go to the utility company. You just find the CFO of basically anybody that you're dealing with, and you send it to them.
I see.
Yeah.
So for state IDs, it would be the state?
Yeah, that's it. You got it.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So then what about like passports?
Yep. State.
State. So even with passports for
Well,
international,
State Department, I should
State
say, which is federal. So,
right.
yeah.
So what about traveling with a passport in private?
You don't. You use your public identification thing that I just showed. And when a police officer pulls you over, you just say, I'm law enforcement as well. Here's my private ID. It's registered. Here's my documentation. Patrick also went over how to do private insurance. That's in his older documents as well. Again, if you want the full files to all documents 1 through 36, you can go ahead and send payment to Creditor Academy through Venmo. But yes, he goes ahead and goes through the whole entire thing about traveling in the private and how to exercise your rights. But this is primarily, in the end, his main line of documentation that he used to identify himself, because it not only extended his authority and his standing as an Article 4 in public, but also he used it for all of his banking transactions.
I see. So what about international travel? Is it the same?
You'll use your passport. You could still liquidate it, which releases the bond, which puts it into the private.
I see.
Yeah.
But you can still use it to travel.
Yeah, it just means that it's in the private, meaning it's not in the clutches of, the State Department anymore.
I see.
Yeah. Now when they try to write, tickets or something or illegal traveling, they can't write anything because there's no bond or insurance attached to that passbook account anymore.
I see. So that portion is liquidated from the passport, but the passport is still valid for travel.
Absolutely. It's not only valid for travel, it's now valid for travel in the private.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. Hustling grandmother. Cool. Awesome. What do you look like, hustling grandmother? What do you got, like the top hat? Are you part of the mafia? What do you look like? Let me see that.
I call myself the hustling grandmother because I am raising my 2 grandchildren. I didn't come on camera, but next time I got a bonnet on.
Okay, hustling grandmother. I see you being in the private. I get you. Okay.
I do have a question for you because I've been researching this and kind of following some people's or whatever. And one of the people that stood out to me that I really admired and really wanted to try to connect with was Truth. You ever heard of Truth?
I don't know nobody but Patrick.
Okay, well, this lady named Truth, I think she's out in Michigan or somewhere, but she made a comment about it's a website that you can go to see all the trusts that's out there in your name. She said when she did hers, she had 527 of them with her name they used with her information. And I was wondering, have you ever heard of anything like that?
I can't speak to it. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to know because I don't hear anybody ever talk about that. And I was wondering. But thank you. And
No
next
problem.
time,
Name of that website.
Yeah.
What's the name of that website?
I don't know. I never do the website. That's why I was asking to see if you knew because she never mentioned it. I think she told someone that if they emailed her, and I think she took a donation from them, that she would give them the information. So it wasn't that she put it out there. So I was just wondering, did Patrick ever talk about it? And I got those files. I paid $300 for those files. So I have them as well. Haven't quite been through them yet because it took me a long time to get them downloaded because there's so many. I'm like, oh my God. But I watch the videos all the time. But I just wanted to know because that's one thing that stuck out to me because I'm like, hey, if I can find out how many trusts are out there in my name,
you know, that's a whole game changer there.
Yup, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
All
But
right,
I-
well, thank you, hustling grandmother. I appreciate you. All right, let's go to DW Consultants.
Hey, yeah, I was just gonna ask about the files that you have for sale. Are they all organized? You're so good. You're so great at organizing things, but I'm just wondering.
Super organized, perfectly from day one to the last day, all categorically organized.
Awesome, awesome. And then I just want to make a comment for everyone, not to tell people how to study, but I find it really valuable to listen to videos or whatever when there's gold in it, like multiple times, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times to really ingrain it. So thank you so much for all the repetition and the class today.
No problem. All about it. All about it. I like studying by playing basketball at the same time. Every time I listen to Patrick, I'm shooting hoops. Get some energy out of me. I got quite a bit of it. Okay, let's go to Jasmine. Oh.
Hi again.
Hey.
My question, sorry, Paul, I interrupted you.
No, you're fine. Go.
Okay. My question was, I know. You know, when you have your passport, your driver's license, and you want to do the process with it, if you don't, do you just make a copy of it and then endorse it on the back and send it in? How do you do it?
Oh, you're just talking about, okay, got you. So you're saying, all right, I have a
I don't have
driver's
tickets
license.
or anything, right? I don't have any tickets. I don't have any of that stuff. So,
Right.
yeah.
You're just like, hey, all right, I got my driver's license, I got my passport, whatever. How do I liquidate all this stuff? That's the transfer by deed. We're going to get into the transfer by deed, which was one of Patrick's big culmination of processes where he did the largest asset transfer of all of his major accounts, which is the certificate of live birth, the DD-214, the passport, the driver's license, and all of that, and did a full liquidation of all of those assets over into his private bank account. Then when he liquidated all of the assets, he went into the Red Cross and had the Red Cross draw blood from him. And then he brought in that affidavit of blood of the living from the Red Cross and went into court and did a court claim against his fiction. And before the court, he said, I'm here as the living entity against the defendant, which is my corporate usury person. And I am here to prove that I am the living human being and that this corporate entity has now no more commercial energy inside of it or assets. So I now declare it into Chapter 7 bankruptcy.
Wow. Wow. Can't wait for you to get there.
This is, I know, right?
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, that was an intense one. All right, let me do really quickly just the which a lot of you were asking for, which is the individual banker stuff and whatnot, and then we'll pretty much wrap up. I don't want to be here all night. All right, let's go here.
Hours, gotta listen to this one again.
Course one. Okay, so I did do a revision. I posted up a different one.
Send him an email saying,
which is the online filing.
I'm sure I'll learn a lot.
If you can see this in front.
Others build their stuff.
You found the mute.
Someone is talking over Paul. Can you mute yourself, please?
There we go. Cool. So this is the online filing example, also produced by Patrick. I took down the other one because that was an older form that was making him not into a nonprofit organization, but he did it as an unincorporated organization type. But anyways, the organization type is a nonprofit tax-exempt corporation. The legal name is your individual banker. Your trade name is your name of your private bank. The county, city, state, all that. Your physical address, which is your actual address. Your actual SSN number and your name And then the principal products and services is private unincorporated bank. The principal products and services. So that was the difference, because before it was unincorporated bank as the organization type, where now that's the principal products and services. And then no, and then reason for applying, start a new business. Okay. And that's how you do the individual bankers. Okay, and let's go to DeCarla. DeCarla, go for it.
Hi, I don't have any questions as of now, but I just wanted to say that I, have Patrick's files and I've been studying them for a little over a year.
Yeah.
And I just want to tell you, thank you so much. I'm like trying not to cry. Thank you. You are a godsend for real. And however I can assist you, because you have helped me put so many pieces together. And there's another sister out there, Christina Wilson, who's also, trying to help people as well. Between you and her, y'all have helped me put so much together, because I've done a lot. Like I have my individual banker, my estate and all of that, like I've done all of that. I've got my badges made, the virtual ones. Now I'm working on getting a physical badge.
Mm-hmm.
I've made my ID, and I made that through ID. Was it not Build a Same.
There's a lot.
I did my place through that.
Yeah,
I was trying to share it, but when I
problem.
get it, I'll share it. But I just had to give you your flowers and just tell you how grateful and thankful I am for you and your presence, and I'm here to help however I can.
Hey, absolutely. Anybody who's willing to volunteer, go ahead and put volunteer in the top of the subject line. Please submit a resume. I like to review people. The first position I'm going to fill, because I have a lot of people that I'm interviewing at the moment, the one position I'm looking for to fill first, that's going to help my managers, my video editors, my content creators, my website designers, and all that, is a human resources manager. Got to start with that. So,
hey, that's me. I will volunteer for that.
are you? Cool. Send me your resume. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay,
because
I will. I'm retired now, so
I can't. There's got to be an onboarding process to any company. I've ran 4 companies in my life. I'm going to run this the same way I've done my other ones. I ran an international nonprofit organization across 18 different countries. Doing legal and licensing services for healthcare companies around the United States, and did over 2,000 websites. Well, at least the employees did. I didn't.
That's
and
impressive.
I want to create that same business acumen here. So then when I do exit and leave for good, then everything's in working order with the people, board of directors who are put into place.
Okay, excellent. I'll send you my resume. Just know I'm retired.
Yeah.
So I will get it for you and stuff
Hey,
like
we all
that.
trying
Okay?
to be retired now.
I'm trying to be even more retired. Okay.
Absolutely. Y'all can be CFOs. There's going to be plenty of y'all who are CFOs with your nonprofit bankers here. But let's go to Patrick Smith. Go for it.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I have a technical question on the form for the EIN you just pulled up. I did it yesterday, and I used the individual banker and then the DBA name with my name, but it didn't accept it. So what I did is, instead of using the individual banker, I just used the DBA with my name as private banker as the company name with no DBA. Is that okay, or do we have to have
Yeah,
that?
it's totally
individual
fine. You have your
banker?
individual banker's EIN. That's half the battle right there. And a lot of people split hairs. Well, I didn't put the E and T in there, and I didn't word it like this and whatnot. If you have your individual banker's EIN, you've got it. You're good.
Okay. Yeah, because all right. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure. And then I tried for the estate one, going through the online process, but they ask questions that are different. So then I tried to call that in, but then they said, well, you can't do a domestic one over the phone. So that I ended up faxing that one per the instructions. So I don't know if you had any guidance on that, but
so you faxed your EIN to the IRS, your SS form, 4 form.
yes, for the estate.
for the estate. Well, you could do that online too. Did you know that?
Yeah, I tried online, but it was asking for all sorts of questions that weren't on the form. It was asking for the social security number of the grantor, which is the same as the estate.
I see.
It wasn't set up for the deceased, living situation.
Okay. Well, just wait. It'll take about a month for them to get you a reply, but yeah, totally fine. If you filled it out correctly, they'll get back to you.
Yeah, it said 4 days for the fax. I don't know if somebody figured out how to do it online.
Oh, well, if it's whatever they say. Absolutely. Okay.
Cool. Well, thank you.
No problem. Haywood White, let's go to you.
Yes, just a quick question. So do you need to file a UCC 1 if you're filing the non-UCC?
Yes, that's a different process, which is establishing a UCC contract trust, which you hear everybody and their mama talking about, and no matter what guru that you follow. And in the next class, I'm going to give you the big picture of all the players on how it's operating. This has been leading up to kind of the treasury banking system in itself, how it completely operates by Patrick's research and viewpoints. And that's where your UCC1 filing comes in, and why you go to the TT&L and the UCC contract trust department, and what's happening when you do your UCC1 filing, all that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's it for me. Thank you.
Okay. Let's go to Kenneth Chavez.
Hey, Paul. I have a question. I mean, if it don't pertain to this and you don't want to answer right now, it's fine. Can you hear me?
Kenneth.
Yeah, can you hear
All
me?
right. Jasmine.
Oh, okay.
Is your hands up?
Yes, it is, but I was waiting for Patrick to finish. My question has to do with the EIN, the private banker, and when you tell them to deposit into your private bank, because how, I know you said on the contract, the S30, that you could tell them to do you a check or whatever as well, that indicate that you're sending it to your private bank, but you can also request a check, right? So
Yeah, you can
my
request
question,
whatever you want. If you want, if you
Right.
want pixie fairies to drop it off at your front door, you can expect them to do that.
but on a serious note, let's say if you just put deposit into your EIN, which is the private bank, how do you get that if they should try to deposit? Do I then have to open a bank account with that EIN? Or, because then that's
No,
putting it again
you
in the
already
public.
have the bank account.
Right, which is the EIN. And I guess I'm a little confused of how do you access, and I guess you're going to tell me that in either next class or fourth class. So I'll wait, but I just,
The answer's in the 1099s.
oh, I got you. Okay. That's the link. Because I listen to everything. I've listened to your video so many times since you posted it. And I love your information. And I sent you an email telling you this just brought everything full circle for me. So I sent everything out in the mail yesterday. I did all your stuff, sent it out, and I can't wait. And I will let you know for sure how everything goes. And
Absolutely.
I just want to say thank you and God bless.
No worries. Okay, well, thank you. Kenneth, are you on the line? There you are.
Yeah, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Paul?
I hear you.
I can hear you.
I can hear him.
Can you hear me, Paul?
Oh, y'all can hear Kenneth?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh,
We all
what?
hear him.
Hey,
Before Jasmine came on.
hey, if you guys
Oh.
can hear me, and he
Oh,
can't.
my bad.
Well, I was just,
Someone interpret for the guy. I feel bad.
Yeah, I'll ask for you. Go ahead and talk, Kenneth.
okay. Well, I was just wondering. It might not even pertain to this, but I was wondering, can we liquidate our 401k?
He wants to know if we can liquidate our 401ks. He doesn't know if it pertains, but that's his question.
Yeah, you can liquidate anything that's yours.
Okay. All right. That's all I was wondering.
Okay, he said thank you.
Cool. Awesome. Glad I could get that. And then DeCarla. I want to call on someone
I did
who's
that on accident. I'm sorry.
yeah, no problem. Money Good. I haven't heard from Money Good.
How's it going, Paul? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear, brother. Good to hear you.
Okay, so I got like child support payments that I'm working on, and I know that they're just an agency like everything else because we do a lot of studying, So I'm wondering with my child support because I want to try to set that off. Do I got to set that off with the 1099 or do I send them a cover letter or some kind of cease and desist letter? I'm really trying to get off of it because I know they got a lot of overages on it.
Got you. What is the certificate that they're writing the bonds against for the child support?
They're not giving me certificates. They're sending me like a mail in to pay this amount.
No, I understand, but when you went to the child support thing, like, were you married to this individual?
No, we were never married.
Okay, never mind. Okay, all right. So this is a court action?
It's a court action, yeah. And they actually took money from bank accounts. They actually suspended my license.
Okay.
And that's all fraudulent. They're not supposed to be doing that.
Yeah. No, take it out of the performance and the payment bond of the court action by filling in the court case number inside the solicitation box on the SF30.
Okay, thank you.
And SF 14, 14, 14, 16, and 14, 18.
18. Okay, I also have another question. I don't want to take anybody else's time, but I had a case that I got caught with a firearm last year, and I had to pay a $5,000 bail. So they're charging me for the bail, which I understand. They took it out of the trust, and I had a co-signer, which was my son. So now they're harassing my son, telling him they're gonna go over to his place of business, and I was livid. I called them and I told them, man, you can't, you guys are not doing it because knowingly and willingly. I guess Title 15, 1681 is knowingly, or 1611 is knowingly and willingly the violation. So my studies taught me that the bail bonds is under a Vanguard banking. So it's called Aladdin bail bonds. So what I'm trying to do is I try to tell them to cease and desist, and I send a letter out to them. I asked for the copies of the original contract, which they sent me, and it has my son's, not his last name, but it has his first name.
Okay. Money Good. Okay, relax for a second. Relax. Okay. What is it? A court case?
The court case is, in other words,
what you're talking about right now, is it a court case?
It's a court case. Yes, it is.
Take the court case number, put it in the solicitation box, and settle the debt and offset it using the performance in the payment pawn.
Okay.
It's like, you know what? It's kind of like, have y'all ever been to Vacation Bible School? And you went in and I remember this student came up to me and said, hey, I want to help you out, kid, since you're new here. Anytime the teacher asks you a question, the answer is always Jesus, right? And then the same way, the answer 9 times out of 10 is the SF30, SF14, 14, 14, 16, 14, 18, non-UCC endorsement on the back of a banker's acceptance and your public identification.
Okay, and also, can I liquidate the bail bonds company from
You
the
can
money
liquidate, dude, you can liquidate Big Mama Michelle. You can liquidate whatever you want.
I'm looking for Michelle.
She's real ugly, man. You see her on the internet, bro. Yeah, it's super gross.
Paul, thank you.
Yeah, you can liquidate anything. As long as your name's on it, you can liquidate it. Okay. All right, well, thank you, Money Good. Okay, I'm sure I could be here quite a while answering y'all's questions. I'm just going to say one more time, is there anything in this course that you would like to ask a question for before I wrap up?
I do.
Okay, go for it.
The scenario I have right now is with Navy Federal, and I heard you say something about these so-called nonprofit for nonprofit groups. You know, Navy Federal acts like they're a nonprofit credit union, right?
Mm-hmm.
I bought a vehicle through them 2 years ago, and I thought I signed the promissory note, but obviously I didn't when I asked them to send me all the documents. So they said, well, we're going to send it to you right now so that you can sign it. And there's where I first began to see the pledges and the information. What in this next course, I'm assuming that this 1099A and so on is what you're going to talk about for this. How do I shut them down?
You shut everybody down with the SF30, SF1414, 1416, 1418 non-UCC endorsement on a private endorsement, bankers on the back of the bill. You put down the account number inside of the contract modification that you're trying to do for anything. Guys, whatever contract you have, you're just modifying the contract to your advantage. That's it. You got a Navy, Federal, whatever, doesn't matter what is being said or pressed against you if you change the contract.
So I don't have to have any of the banking processes, the 3 EINs together to do this?
Well, you can't do a non-UCC without the 3 EINs.
Got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
No
So
problem.
I just want to say something to everyone. Everyone who are asking these questions, if you didn't watch video his first class, please go back to his first class. That first class, I had everything out by Monday, and all the questions you're asking, it contains, yes, yesterday everything was in the mail. It contains 6 pages.
Yeah.
Okay, the 4 SF4 forms, your endorsed bill, your cover letter, and your non-UCC, which everything was so easy to do. So go to that first video that he has out there, and then your answers is right there. Trust me.
I watched that video yesterday in its entirety twice. And
Oh, really?
still I have questions, okay? And basically because I'm so new booty here that I really need to just continue on. But I like to connect the dots, and some of them dots ain't connecting.
Gotcha. You want to connect the answer is this. The connect the dots is to go get the files that I gave for the files 37 through 42, which are all of Patrick's Devine's final process. The file 38 and 39 is like the wind up. It's like at a baseball game. He's winding up, he's warming up before he gets into file 40 and 41. And in 40 and 41, he puts it all together to go do his final transactions. And what you want to do is you want to print out his essays. I got all of his essays printed in files and stuff all over my desk. And I'm just reading everything that he's put out. And then I listen to the audios, which you have, and I just piece the puzzle together by reading what he wrote. And he's very clear and direct on how he's done that. And that's what I want to do. I'm, as your teacher, I'm here to just point you in the right direction, but I'm not here to be your teacher forever. I'm here to just say, hey, listen to this, get this foundational understanding, and then you can go on your own to make your own decisions and build upon your processes with your foundational. Like, for example, you could do an estoppel by deed or all these other things that Patrick has talked about within this process to help you further along, but you got to get your foundation right first. But read everything. I say go to Patrick first and go read it, because you guys say, hey, you know what? I read his essays. I looked at his stuff. I think you're missing something here, Paul Michael. I would like to know. I really would. And but I think I got it down.
I thank you. I truly thank you, because I was saying, God, I can't understand all this stuff. And I was sitting working, and boom, Paul came on the screen. You've been on her all day.
Yeah.
I got my EINs. I got them, but I said I need more understanding. And you came on the screen and made it happen. I am like, man, I'm on this guy. I'm on him. Thank you.
Would you be able to shortly explain how the SPC process and this process connect? I'm having like a disconnect on that.
Yes.
I'm trying to digest this.
Gotcha. The best way to get that connection is before the next class that I will have on Thursday, day after tomorrow, same time, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, New York, is to read the UCC contract. Establishing UCC Contract Trust is the name of the document, and the basis of the Treasury banking system document. Those are the next two I'm going to really cover on Thursday, and that will put the entire picture together, are those two. That's why, as you notice in the first video, is a little kind of easier to understand, and this one's a lot more detail oriented. I had so many things to choose from, but in order for me to lead up to those two documents, which you should read ahead of time, I need it to be this detailed oriented, so then when we read this, it won't be so foreign to you. But if you want the answer to your question, it's in the establishing a UCC contract trust. And then if you want to know the major players that we'll be covering, the basis for the Treasury banking system is the other document.
So those two documents will be in the link you will share with us for
You should already have them.
Oh, it's in the other
files 37 through 42. And that's why I say I gave everybody the final process, because I know I'm not going to name any names, but there's a certain YouTube video that's posting Patrick Devine's recordings that people are listening to, and they're doing old processes. Currently, this YouTube channel is 3 years behind in the final process. So you're basically in the year 2013, maybe near the end of 2013. And at the rate that the videos are being posted, it'll take about 1.5 years or 2 years before you get to the final process that you're hearing today. What I plan to do, with the help of viewers like you, is I want to post all of the audios in the documents of the final process on this Creditor Academy channel, so you could just get straight to the information and not be doing old processes that Patrick, he himself, knows do not work.
Thank you very, very much.
No problem. Got to figure out how to do video editing, or somebody help me out. Okay.
I do video editing and stuff like that. So
Hey, cool. Everybody send me your resume. I'll put it all in there. I will have probably a board of directors meeting next week, Monday. So if you send me an invite or send me your resume and kind of tell me a little bit about yourself, I'll review it and I'll reply back to you with an email, and I'll come up with a time on next week, Monday, to where we can all get together. Okay. But just to wrap up, thank you all for joining me on Creditor Academy. I hope this was very helpful to you. I am excited for our next week's session, or our next session on course 3 in the next couple of days, where we will go ahead and cover the national banking system, as Patrick has so eloquently described it, as well as establishing a UCC contract trust. I really appreciate all of your time. I love the love that you guys are giving me. That I just created the channel and put out the first video only this last week, and it is blown up quite a bit. And I want to keep that energy going, and I want to get more people's involvement. And for the time that I'm here as your teacher for a brief amount of time, I hope we can make a huge impact on all the people around us. But until then, stay safe, God bless, and I'll see you on Thursday.
Thanks, Paul.
The next one.
Thanks, Paul. Good night, everyone. God bless.
Thank you,
Good
Paul.
night.
Thank you, Paul.
No problem, y'all.
Participating and helping out.
revolution divided, rebels alive, or it's the average species. Black sun for born on the run. One about the same once gave him a gun. Lee Harvey, I called for his approach come undone. For ran. Read like the wolf with the meat for dinner. Played it all out and pick out a winner. What's the news and they give it to you? Eat up the lies and the swallow the food. Not me, I know who. That's what the rough do. I won't stand for a tyrant, but I'll stand to throw a shoe. The rest is the well, while the world goes to hell. I banned the brothers raw, born a rebel. Watch them up. 30 plus feet in my MySpace phone said they live and sleep. They banned me on Twitter and still haven't said bye. Cultural convention, government tie. Don't act shocked or surprised. Have to work with each other. Brainwash the masses into look a big brother. If he and enslave the minds. Books and now it's all digitized. Anything it takes to break down your third eye. I started with hooks about 9/11 lies. Just put it in my music, everything they try to hide out of the know. Like what they did it would be rich. I don't care what they say, they don't care about the kids in it. Ready to kill. This is really the target, the plans for today. I'll put tomorrow's harvest. Nothing is real when you're living in illusion. They create the problem to get to the solution. Yeah, I've said it, and I'll say it again. They played the victim when they're the ones who hurt me. I'm pulling it back. And what you expect is the speed of the team.
They do live, indeed.
Blacked out shades, I see through the disguise. I have the airways, there's nowhere to hide. My hands on the pump, shotgun on my back. I've been ready for tyrants to try to attack. I hope they see me. Well, I see them too. I know the names of the game. What they're up to. But sick of they think the worst thing you can imagine and hide in plain sight. I ain't just rapping, I'm fucking hitting groups. I love the more I'm talking, stay in the mix. And plan for a war, stop off from showing on the news at 10. It's what they keep hitting in the vault of the Vatican. It's the Rosicrucians, worship cookies. Being in secret, the final solution is a nice of the glass swallows with face that on both sides of the flame to taste. They live. I refuse to obey them. The slave became just saying all that of bubble gum. I'm out of bubble gum. Click clap, I'm out of bubble gum. Get a kick gas, it's bubble gum. Click flash, come out of bubble gum. I can't get a kick gas and choose bubble gum. Click flash, come out of bubble gum. I can't get a kick gas and choose bubble gum. Click flash, come out of bubble gum. I can't get a kick gas and choose bubble gum. Click flash, come out of bubble gum. It's a metaphor, the black shade you need to get your glimpse of the lies and help you see. Keep a focus in your eyes to see through the light. The needs are mine, when they do make it sight. The truth is bright, so you gotta wear shades to see through the lies of the traps of the lane. How you can see how the never ever stop with the constant propaganda and misguided the fucking by design. The wars on your mind, they all see it now, put some worldwide and when you broke in the past, and you brainwash kids, it's not a game for them. Since they live, I've been the soundtrack for over 20 years, and we giving out shades to see the fear, you know, where you want to have a seat in the weapon, and you play on the song, you see through the next thing, you get a kick gas, and chew bubble gum. Click flash, come out of bubble gum, I can't get a kick gas, and chew bubble gum. Click flash, come out of bubble gum. I can't get a kick gas and choose bubble gum. Click flash, come out of bubble gum. I can't get a kick gas and choose bubble gum. Click flash, come out of bubble gum.